all the world. Call now.
Back here at Dover International Speedway, final practice is getting closer to concluding. And let's check in quickly with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Marty, when the practice began, we told you that Ricky sent out the team, said we're not going to sit back here and try to defend where we are and hold on to our point lead. That's what happened to the Red Sox and the Atlanta Braves. We're going to go out and be aggressive. Well, right now, they are being very, very aggressive. Hey, it's a bit of a gamble because he said, you know what? This car still won't turn in the middle. We're running out of time. So Mike Kelly said, look, we're going to take a huge swing at it right now, a big-time swing to free you up. Let's see what this does. So keep an eye now on the 6 going out.
His last lap was a 24:37 before he brought it in. His best lap was way back on lap 11, a 23:99.
This is a big swing to free it up.
I'm glad we're up high.
Yeah, no kidding.
See the 32.
Sorry about
That's all right. 32 of Reed Sorensen coming out right behind him. Reed's going to be able to measure up what he's going to have to do with the guy he's got to chase in the points. Let's find out what happens here with Ricky.
Oh, yep.
Whoa. She's loose.
Yep.
She's free.
Somewhere in between where they were and there is what they'd be looking for, I would think.
Sure, surprised he's going to complete the lap.
It's just like Doc said, that's a gamble because if you get the thing too loose and you drive that thing off in the corner, you could be backing it in the fence.
But you might have to hang with this just a little bit. It could be that, you know, initially on the cold tires, air pressure is down just a little bit.
24:36.
As he runs on, it might be exactly what he's looking for. A little wiggle up off the corner there. That's not quite as bad. You're going to get that part of it a lot. It's that wiggle down in the center that really hurts you. That car's a little bit nervous.
That's what you can do when you have a driver like Stenhouse. He can drive a loose car. You can go out there and overshoot it a little bit and trust him that he can hang on to it. We've seen him drive a car this year that's looser than anybody I've seen. I mean, we can take some of the in-car shots. He's turning right on some of these mile-and-a-halfs going through the corner.
1/100th quicker on the second lap. Here comes lap number 3.
He's up the racetrack a little bit right there. I don't think he's going to be really happy with this.
Back to a 24:44.
Yeah, coming to you.
Yep, he's going to bring it in. So the big swing.
All it did is free up the entry, didn't help the exit at all.
So with 10 minutes left, now they have another big decision to make. What do they do next?
Well, if you're going to err on a side here, as we've talked a number of times, and Andy said it, you're going to want to be a little more on the tight side as you get into racing and having traffic and have to be aggressive with the wheel. You can do a lot more with the car just a little bit on the tighter side.
So while Mike Kelly heads back over to the garage area as his car pulls in, back out on the track. Action continuing of less than 10 minutes remaining. In fact, only 3 cars out on track right now, including the 88 of Eric Almirola, still in 18th.
His best lap is a 24:44. You know, and that's laps that we've seen that some cars wouldn't even consider good in race trim. So I don't see why they're a little concerned.
Well, both the junior motorsports cars are looking for speed. McMurray is 15th, Eric 18th. He's bringing it right back in. We talked about how good the last 14 races have been for Eric Almirola. Take a look at the numbers. Gives you an example. Just 1 top 5 compared to 6. And the average finish a full 3 spots better. So right now, just 1 car out on the track. We'll step aside for a quick break. Practice is winding down, but don't go anywhere because Sprint Cup action is coming up right behind us.
October's now Anytober. Any regular footlong's a $5 footlong. Any starting at 7 a.m. Even the Italian BMT melt and steak and cheese. Subway, eat fresh all day long.
Oh, yeah!
Can we show you something? Wouldn't it be great to feel like this all the time?
Yeah! I guess so.
Well, with the Chase Freedom Card, you get 5% cash back on up to $1,500 worth of purchases, and new categories every 3 months, and 1% on everything else. So that, man, this must be my lucky day feeling can go on and on. No, you look good. You look good.
Get your cash back. Chase Freedom.
If you have gout and think a few attacks a year are all you have to worry about, think again. Fact is, gout can attack silently even between flares. You may not feel it, but gout's root cause, high uric acid, can allow crystals to continuously form and build up in your joints. Over time, this may lead to attacks in other joints, constant pain, and joint destruction. So don't wait. Get more information at goutinfo.com and talk with your doctor about ways to keep your uric acid at a lower, healthy level.
Monday, Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis will look to bring the heat as Josh Freeman and the Rising Bucks fight for the division lead. ESPN Monday Night Football, Colts Buccaneers at 8:30.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Practice is brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Try the new oven crisp chicken, always baked, never fried.
Time is winding down here at the Monster Mile at Dover International Speedway, and the one and only practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Out on track, the 18 of Joey Logano. He is 13th right now on the speed charts. There you see his best lap. Clint Boyer has turned in the best lap of the day at 23:79. You can see up top, less than 5.5 minutes remaining.
We've seen this driver and crew chief combination struggle a little more this year than we have in years past, just trying to find a handle and give Joey exactly what he's looking for in the car. This looks like this car has calmed down a little bit, but looks kind of nervous out there, just not able to make it go where he's wanting to with the speed that he needs.
Well, and we should point out, it is Adam Stevens and the entire crew that's normally on the 20 car that is running this operation, as they did 2 weeks ago at Chicagoland. Basically, all they did was change the numbers, and that's because of the owner points battle, of which they are in second place. Second place, should say they are in first place. It's by 30 points over the 60 car, but they dropped quite a few points last race out.
See, Stephen Wallace ran his best lap, 11th place, in his 40th lap on the track last run.
38 of Casey Kane's out on track as well. Dave Burns, what are you hearing?
And Marty, the guys who are making these mock runs are moving him out of the top 10, but he may get back there very quick, because this will indeed be a mock qualifying run for Casey Kane. I asked his crew chief, Stuart Cooper, why, with all of Casey's experience and yours as well, is he making a mock run? Some of the Sprint Cup drivers just don't do that. He said, because I've not gotten the car to where we want it all year long in these mock qualifying runs. I've left it too loose. I want to make sure I've got the car tight enough underneath Casey before he has to make that qualifying run tomorrow.
He's going to like this one. He's second with that run right there, Dave.
23:83 as our time is running out here. I'm going to make way, guys, and let Alan slide on in, as he'll bring you Sprint Cup practice. As while we get ready for that, let's check in down on pit road in the garage area one more time. Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Trevor Bain climbed out of his Ford, and everybody was smiling. Trevor, you look up at the board. You guys are P4 right now. How's the car?
Yeah, it's actually really good, and the qualifying run didn't get us to the top of the board like we wanted to be, but the long run of this car is really strong. We went out and made about a 14 or 15 lap run, and that's the longest I've ever done in practice in the Nationwide Series, and the car stayed under me, only fell off about a 10th or two, and we've got more laps than anybody, still fast, so hopefully we can take this Roush Fenway Mustang to the front, or keep it at the front if we can qualify a little bit better. And I'm just really looking forward to racing here at Dover. Missed the spring race, so I've been looking forward to it all year.
Family tells me it was very difficult. You were sitting at home, sitting in a hospital bed in May, watching the spring race here. You made a promise to yourself, if I get back, when I get back to Dover, that's the place I'm going to be able to get it done. How about it? Can you get that first win tomorrow?
I think so. Our teammate did it last time with Carl Edwards winning in the 60 car, and we came back here with the same package that he won with. So we're pretty much even right now in practice, and he was good enough to win here last time. So hopefully I can go out there and get it done for my team.
And good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
From the lowest of lows in May to maybe the highest of highs in his nationwide career. Dave.
Well, Doc, what we've seen here today are guys who have stayed basically on the agenda, even with the extended practice program today, a 2-hour window they've worked in. They've managed to run just a normal number of runs and work on their race cars, trying to dial them in, get them very, very close to their qualifying trim if they can, and then make, as we've been talking about, those mock qualifying runs. A good mix this weekend here at Dover with the Sprint Cup regulars who are making the double duty run over here and the Nationwide Series regulars who are trying to win the championship over here. We've had a good chance to look at Ricky Stenhouse and also making his final runs on the track right now, the 2 of Elliott Sadler. Vying for that championship. It's going to be exciting to watch tomorrow afternoon when they race here at Dover. Now for Sprint Cup practice coverage, let's go over to Jamie Little, who's standing by in the Sprint Cup garage. Jamie?
Well, thanks, Dave. You mentioned the double duty drivers. Many of them, like Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer, have already made their way over to the Sprint Cup Series garage. Now we're awaiting the arrival of Carl Edwards. He was 3rd in Nationwide Series practice. He was also 3rd in this morning's practice. Now, the whole scenario for this team, they've already practiced their qualifying runs early this morning because there is a chance for rain tomorrow during qualifying. That would guarantee them a good starting spot for the race on Sunday. So this practice, they have 2 hours to work on race setup. Now remember, this has been a track that has been like a playground for Carl Edwards. He has 3 wins combined in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series. And it's fun for him in Nationwide, but the focus is here on winning his first ever Sprint Cup Series championship. But there's a lot of stories up and down the garage. We're going to bring them all to you. And for another one of those, let's go over to Vince Welch.
Well, Jamie, if this were a heavyweight fight, 5-time champ Jimmy Johnson may be considered to be on the ropes. You know, he started the chase 9 points behind, and he's been knocked down each of the last 2 weeks. But right now, Jimmy Johnson, 29 points behind. Now, is he out of the chase, 29 points down? Don't believe it. In fact, when you look back at history, 29 points currently under this current system, it would have been about 136 points behind under the previous scoring system. And as you see, Jimmy Johnson has come back from an even larger deficit than that to win the championship. So this may be the weekend the champ gets off the canvas, Alan. Jimmy Johnson has won here at Dover 6 times, including the last 2 chase races.
Vince, thanks. The red and black flags have just waved over the NASCAR Nationwide Series practice, and so those cars headed back into the garage and concluding all the practice that they'll get before their race here tomorrow afternoon at the Monster Mile. And now it's time for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series cars to roll out onto the track. Jimmy Johnson and all the others buckled in and ready to go. They've already had 1 practice session earlier today. Now they get their final practice before Sunday's 400-mile race, the 3rd race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And on a beautiful late September day in Dover, we say hello from the Monster Mile. Alan Bestwick with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie. Let's start with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy said in his press conference here earlier today he felt they needed a top 3 finish in this race Sunday for their championship bid. Agree, disagree, and why?
Yeah, I totally agree. I said on Mike and Mike's show this morning, I believe this is the key race for Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals if they're going to contend for that 6th championship. They've been extremely strong here. Vince just brought out they've won 6 times here, the last 2 chase races. They have speed at this racetrack normally. That's what we've been seeing them lacking. If they can't get it done here, then I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think a top 3 finish is what they expect. I think they'll get it. Also, I think it's going to be tough from here if they do get it. This is going to be a tough uphill battle. This new point structure, we don't really know how hard it's going to be to climb up from where he is. We'll see how it goes. And like you said, he needs that top 3 finish, and I believe he can get it.
Yeah, Vince was just making the comparison between the old scoring system for the championship and the new 1 point per position scoring system in use in 2011 for the first time. Here are the standings after the first 2 races in the chase. Of course, Tony Stewart, 2 for 2 in the opening 2 races. Can't do any better than that.
No, that's a pretty good average so far.
Brad Keselowski, perhaps the surprise so far. A couple of top 5 finishes in the opening races. And look at that minus column there. The group that's all clustered from 23 to 29 points behind. That's where you're trying to figure out, okay, how far back is it? How far back is too far? As you look at that group, anybody else strike you in there?
Well, I look at Jeff Gordon. I picked Jeff Gordon to be a favorite going into this, and I still do. I think Jeff Gordon's going to emerge out of that group that's all kind of knotted up in there. I think you're going to see him rise up and be a contender before it's over. Seeing Jimmy Johnson back there, though, is just not usual.
No, it's not. And I look at Kyle Busch. I think he's right in that group. This is a racetrack also. We talk about Jimmy Johnson doing well here. Kyle Busch, he can take advantage, doing well here this weekend. Matter of fact, I picked him to win this race. I think that he does that. Jimmy Johnson second. So if they can do that, they know. They look back at the race here and saw that Tony Stewart wasn't so good. He finished 25th, I believe, like 6 laps down. I think Tony obviously will be much better than that, but it could be an opportunity. I think the points really close up after Sunday's race here.
We'll get a gauge on where all of these guys stand in their weekend here at the Monster Mile as this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice begins in just a little while. Our ESPN Motorsports coverage continues on Saturday with the 200-miler for the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Dover. That's at 3 Eastern Time here on ESPN2. And the championship countdown is on with the NHRA drag racers, the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals from Maple Grove in Pennsylvania. Qualifying Saturday, final Sunday on ESPN2. Sprint Cup Series, race 3 in the chase from here in Dover, Sunday 1 Eastern ESPN, and Petit Le Mans to wrap up the American Le Mans Series season is on ABC Sunday at 4 Eastern Time. Right after our final practice coverage, NASCAR Now here on ESPN2. That's today, so a lot of motorsports coverage coming your way. And you see all of those cars down in the garage getting ready to roll out onto the racetrack to begin their practice here in Dover.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Happy Hour is brought to you by AutoZone. Parts are just part of what we do. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
The American Garage, the Taj Mahal of overhaul. Whether it's your place or the pro's place, more of them count on the trusted advice at AutoZone than ever before. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
As a team owner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, I know pleasing fans is a top priority. Because without the fans, there'd be no NASCAR. Just like if it weren't for customers, there'd be no Nationwide. That's why they serve their customers' needs, not shareholder profits. Because as a mutual, Nationwide doesn't report to Wall Street. They report to their customers. And that's just one more reason why the Earnhardt family has trusted Nationwide for more than 30 years. Nationwide is on your side.
Small space, meet big power. The Craftsman Compact Right Angle Impact Driver. Over 3,000 impacts per minute for powerful torque on the toughest projects in the tightest spaces. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
When a job calls for more muscle than a drill, Craftsman impact drivers answer the call, delivering over 3,000 impacts per minute, giving you greater torque for greater force to power through the toughest jobs. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
Undefeated ACC heavyweights meet for a pivotal showdown, and the Irish battle the Boilermakers. Saturday, Clemson, Virginia Tech at 6 on ESPN2, and Notre Dame, Purdue at 8 on ESPN. College football lives here.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
In the late 1960s, they built a dual-purpose facility in the capital of Delaware, a horse racing track surrounded by an auto racing mile oval. The Dover Downs International Speedway, as it was known then, went through a period where for about 15, 16 straight years, they added seats every year and sold them all. The Monster Mile, it became known because it's just different than most. The track's layout, the track's configuration, a bear on car and driver. Since then, the facility's grown to include the hotel and casino. It's quite the place to come to see a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. As we wait for the cars to roll out onto the track for the final NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice, let's head down into the garage. Jamie?
Well, Alan, on these practice shows, we often hear you talk about the dots on the front of these cars. Well, I'll explain really quick. You see, this is Kyle Busch's Camry. There's 7 dots here. That means he's come in and gone out on the track 7 different times, done 7 different runs. That is so when the team is looking at a photograph or video, they can count the dots and know which run it was and know what changes they made. You see it there. The teams get really creative, do different things. The 29 likes to put the little Bud bottles there. Carl Edwards, Ford Fusion here. You see how many runs he already did in this morning's practice. So they're looking to about double that in this final happy hour session. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Sometimes when you see those dots on the front of the car, you think about the runs that the guys are making. But when you're here at Dover, enough of these crewmen have spent time in the casino across the way that...
Yeah, they must have been the same crap table I was last night. Saw too many of those sevens, yeah.
They were thinking of lucky sevens there. Well, actually, it's not lucky in that game, right? All right, so we'll count the dots as these guys run around the Monster Mile here and get ready to go. Based on what we saw in the first practice, some of those guys that we really feel like need to have a good run here this weekend are looking pretty good, and some of the guys we were wondering about, well, maybe aren't so good. This is how the results came down in the first of today's practice sessions a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, I think we see a number of those. Matt Kenseth, who's back there in that minus 20 range. Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, all of those drivers having good solid efforts in that first practice session. They need that. They need to apply pressure.
Yeah, and if there's one number you don't see, Ryan Newman is not on there. He was 28th in the first practice session. They need to find something in this one.
And Tony Stewart, 25th fastest in that session. The qualifying order for tomorrow's time trials have been set by that first practice. So it's all about race runs in this second practice session as we get ready to go here in Dover in just a couple of minutes. You see a lot of pink on the cars in the garage area, particularly on the Chevrolets. Chevrolet supporting the fact that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the cause of research and finding a cure for breast cancer. Many of the Chevrolets in the field carrying pink decals and numbers on the sides and fronts of their cars in support of that cause. Cars will hit the track next.
TireRack.com is more than just an online tire resource. We're your one-stop online tire know-how, know-who, and know-what. Speaking of that, know what else? Our prices are practically unbeatable. And that's all you need to know. We're revolutionizing the way you buy tires. Buy a set of 4 select Bridgestone tires and get up to a $100 American Express reward card by mail. For details, go to TireRack.com/TV. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Wow, with the help of the Home Depot, this job's a piece of cake. Yeah, but I am starting to get a little bit of an appetite.
I think Coach is taking care of that.
Hey, you guys running 6 to 12 in?
12.
I nailed it. Thanks, Coach.
ESPN College Game Day, built by the Home Depot. Saturdays at 9 a.m. on ESPNU, continues at 10 a.m. on ESPN.
Ask me.
If you think even the best bed can only lie there,
Ask me what it's like when my Tempur-Pedic moves.
talk to someone who owns an adjustable version of the most highly recommended bed in America.
Ask me about my Tempur Advanced Ergo. Ask me about having all the right moves.
These are real Tempur Advanced Ergo owners. Find one for yourself. Check out Twitter. Try your friends on Facebook. See what they have to say, unedited.
Goes up. Ask me what it's like to get a massage anytime you want. Goes down. Ergonomics.
Ergonomics. Tempur-Pedic brand owners are more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand.
問我點解唔想離開我嘅 Ergo。
Ask me why I'm glad I didn't wait till I'm too old to enjoy this.
Start asking real owners.
Ask me how to make your first move.
It's the perfect time to save up to $400 on your own Ergo. Find out more at Tempur-Pedic.com.
Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
And they're off. Oh, wait, that's on the horse track inside.
On track, Al.
The cars are on the Monster Mile for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice. Live here on ESPN2. Beautiful day here in Dover as these cars make the climb up off of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway and then dive down into turn number 3. Tony Stewart in that 14, our first focus here. Winner of the first 2 races in the chase, but it was here in May that Stewart finished 6 laps down in 29th place. And in the first practice session, didn't light the world on fire with their outright speed.
Now still struggling to find what Tony's looking for to go fast and keep the car going fast here at this racetrack. He was nervous about this race even before the chase started. He didn't say anything about the first 2 races. He felt pretty confident, and well, he should, but he was nervous about coming here. Vince, what are they saying now?
Well, in that first practice, as you noted, 25th on the speed chart. They just couldn't get the car to work the way Tony wanted it from the center off. When they got a little bit more snug in the middle to make it comfortable early in the run, it was too tight as they ran lap after lap. So from the center off, really where they're working on here in this second practice session for Tony Stewart.
And at this racetrack where you're climbing up from the corner onto the straightaway, that center off thing, that's just critical.
Yeah, it really is. It's where you make your speed, basically. You can do a lot of things to alter entering and getting to the center of the corner, but you have to stay in the throttle up out of the corner if you're going to make passes and make time at this racetrack. And it's really interesting to see Tony struggling on the concrete, because I always felt like he was one of those drivers that was so good. You expected him and Carl Edwards to just be really good at these type tracks.
Brad Keselowski, I think it's fair to say, he probably doesn't like the title, but it's fair to say the surprise of this championship so far, if not the surprise of this season so far. A couple of top 5 finishes to start the chase. And Brad out there now in his Sprint Cup Series car after having climbed out of the Nationwide Series car a little while ago. The benefits versus detriments of going back and forth between the 2 cars. How about we start that discussion with the differences between the 2 in the Craftsman Tech Garage with champion crew chief Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. When Brad got out of that Nationwide car, the first thing he's going to realize, Alan, he's got 200 more horsepower, and that's going to be a lot more acceleration. The next thing, the suspension system. Now, Brad's a smart guy. He knows exactly what he's riding in. You've got the bump stop set up in the Cup deal, but when he got out of that other car, it was the coil mine setup, relying on the coils to compress to get the car through the corner. But now that he's in that Cup car, it's all about this. It's the bump stops. This is the rubber that actually moves the car on the racetrack. That's the suspension. But something is critical, as about a 1/16 of an inch. This packer right here, getting the splitter up off the ground, making sure the cross member doesn't bottom out. Those are some of the issues that he's going to face to get his car to really get around the racetrack quick. AB?
All right, Tim, thanks.
Yeah, those bump stops are not legal in the Nationwide Series. They are legal in the Cup Series. And, you know, the Cup teams have the option. They can run those coil-bound springs if they want, and they can run bump stops or some combination thereof. And I'm not sure exactly what Brad Keselowski's team is doing right now, but you know, there are things you can still learn from the Nationwide car that you can bring over here, but the rule structures are a little different.
Alan, I'll go back to what you said about the surprise. I don't think that they would even dispute that, because I mean, they were mired back in 23rd, even having won the race at Kansas on the fuel mileage deal, and really didn't look like they may drive their way into the top 20 to take advantage of the wild card situation. But they sure made a huge change, and I think it's this driver crew chief combination that is doing really well.
Benefits, detriments to doing double duty. The crew chief kind of would like to have more time with the driver for their debriefs and so on when the driver's hopping back and forth between 2 cars. The driver says the more laps he gets on a tire on a racetrack, the benefit it is to him. Coincidence or not, the difference in numbers for Brad when he's done double duty versus the races when he was injured and just focusing on the Sprint Cup Series race.
Go ahead with the positives out there, Andrew.
Well, you know, the positive thing is, and I know the numbers aren't bearing this out, but, you know, here's what happened with Brad Keselowski. He kind of gained all this confidence that he has as a driver through winning races in the Nationwide Series against Cup drivers. He's brought that over here. You know, I agree with you maybe to a point that at this, you know, when he's trying to run for a championship, maybe a little more focus on the Cup car would be better for him, but that's how he got here.
I can't disagree with that, and I know that the success in that Nationwide car builds that confidence, just like you said. He's got that confidence now. He's got everything that he's ever been looking for, an opportunity now to win a Sprint Cup championship. And a lot of drivers have been in that. We've seen Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards try to do it. They haven't. The man that's won 5 in a row hadn't run hardly any Nationwide races during those 5 years. So, you know, I can go back to 1999, and Todd Parrott on me. I had a Nationwide, it was a Busch Series team at the time. He was like, you know, can you get out of there and just, you know, concentrate on this Cup car so we can win this championship?
Evidently, you didn't learn much. You're doing double duty today.
Yes, you are.
That's my requirement here. Yeah.
Paul Wolf, crew chief on the left, has a lot of experience behind the wheel at this racetrack, Dover International Speedway. Paul, in the former NASCAR Busch North Series, now K&N East Series, was a driver and ran several races at this racetrack. Also got behind the wheel in the NASCAR Busch Series, now the Nationwide Series, for some races at this racetrack. So perhaps his knowledge of what it takes behind the wheel at the Monster Mile helping his driver get ready for Sunday's big race.
Tony Stewart is white hot, winning the first 2 chase races and grabbing the points lead. With smoke on fire, Jimmy Johnson looks to bounce back from a shaky start. The chase continues at Dover, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
Set me free, free from interruptions and slow down.
We're CenturyLink, a new kind of broadband company, committed to providing honest, personal service from real people. 5-year price lock guarantees, consistently fast speeds, and more ways to customize your technology.
60 minutes of play every day. Join the Play 60 movement at NFLRush.com.
This is where young men can stake their claim, and battle-tested veterans can redeem a lifetime spent behind the wheel.
Makes history.
This is how we discovered it's possible for greatness to be annually renewed. It's where outsiders become heroes, and heroes become legends. This is an opportunity to not only seize history, but become a part of it.
Got a good one this week on ABC's Saturday Night Football. Taylor Martinez and the number 8 Nebraska Cornhuskers try to make themselves a Big Ten threat in their first game in the conference. They got to face Russell Wilson and the number 7 Wisconsin Badgers. It's Nebraska-Wisconsin Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
Russell Wilson might have just transferred himself into a national championship game there with the Badgers.
Going to be a good game.
Yeah, it'd be a great game to watch.
There's Dale Jr. Came by too fast for me to count the dots on that front grill there, Jamie.
And he's already been in and out of the garage, hoping to put last week behind him when they cut 2 tires, ran out of fuel. But so far in this happy hour session, things have not been better.
I can't even get close to going like them guys, man. I can't even drive it nowhere near as hard as I need to drive it. Like it's way loose. I don't understand.
And you heard him say they're way loose. 29th on the board now, but after he said that, he came into the garage and they adjusted the track bar, put it down a little bit. Now he's back out there seeing if he can handle the car and get a little more speed, guys.
All right, Jamie, so Junior right now in this practice is showing with the 26th fastest lap. But again, now we're in race runs, and you're not necessarily looking for that fastest lap on the clock, but you're looking for more consistency and speed in the car overall.
Well, one thing he was talking about, he went out with everybody right there, and everybody kind of ran away from him. He couldn't run the lap times they could run, even in a race trim mode. And so they came back in the second run. He came back out and ran quicker, actually, than he did in the initial run. So that's encouraging that they've helped it.
Yeah, but I see the car falling off as far as the times go with each lap that he puts. And they're going to fall off some, but he may be falling off a little bit more as much. I don't think they fixed their loose problem totally. And he's more concerned right now, too, as far as you get into restarts and your car is not very good, it's that loose, you'll find yourself losing a lot of spots that are hard to make up as you go on then.
So Junior going to head back into the garage. We'll head back into the garage, Vince.
the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. You see Chad Knaus just walking by the hood of the 48 car. They've been working on the entry in the first practice. That was kind of the one issue, if you will. It was a little bit too free on entry, so that was the objective in this practice session, to get the entry better. But during that first run, a fairly lengthy run for Jimmy Johnson, he said the entry wasn't much better, and he felt like it was a little too tight apex to the exit. So some changes on the 48 as they continue to tinker with it. Certainly been the dominant car here over the past 5 races at Dover. They want to make sure it's that way on Sunday.
Yeah, and not that you don't want to work on it when it's loose end, but that sometimes is something you can't fix. I mean, you keep working on it, trying to help it to be tighter entering the corner, and all you're doing is really hurting every other segment of the corner. So, you know, you do want to work on it and see if you can help it, but I wouldn't focus so much energy on that entry of the corner as the rest of it is the way I would go about it, and I'm sure that's the way they are too.
Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage. How would you go about fixing that loose?
I'm like Andy, you know, the driver, he's got that option with the gas pedal, and he knows where he's at. But if you're on a qualifying run and you're going to really drive it off in there hard, Alan, sometimes you want to put a little bit more front nose weight in that car, sliding that nose forward, because as you drive down in the corner, you've got to have more positive input on those front wheels. But it's just like anything else. It's all about weight and balance, and don't forget the most important thing, how many laps did you have on your tires? That's the key with the tape on the grill. AB?
And that's really, Tim, thanks, one of the tricks to this whole practice. Track conditions are changing, laps on your tires, you put heat cycles on them and so on. And how these guys keep up with all that and understand what it's going to do to a car is, and they have my admiration for it.
And they're practicing for a race that's going to be a lot different, probably weather-wise, than it is right now. It's supposed to be a lot cooler on Sunday. And so you basically have to tune to what you have now, but you need to be thinking about what you need to do when it is cool.
Yeah, they're even seeing a different racetrack now than what they actually saw in their first practice session, because the Nationwide cars went out there, even though they're on the same tires, but they just put out a lot more rubber, and this racetrack changes quite a bit as you lay that rubber down.
Denny Hamlin, of course, his championship bid started off rather rough, finishes of 31st and 29th at Chicagoland and New Hampshire, and so he comes to Dover, the place that's always been the difficult one for him in his chases for the most part. 9th place a couple of times, his best results here. I guess difference is this time, maybe last year they had everything to lose.
Yeah.
In this race, or they had more to lose than to gain, and this year they got nothing to lose now.
They got nothing to lose, but it's just been a racetrack, and Denny has struggled on, and just we've seen him do well in the Nationwide car here, so we know that he knows how to drive it. He just hasn't found what he's looking for with the Cup car with all the horsepower. It's a difficult balance.
Denny Hamlin, the focus of a major piece in NASCAR Countdown before Sunday's 400-miler here at Dover. Have they ever recovered from losing last year's championship? One of the questions we'll explore with Hamlin on Sunday at 1 Eastern.
Look closely at history in the making. This $50 Buffalo gold piece is the purest gold coin ever struck by the U.S. government. It's the first U.S. coin ever struck using .9999, that's 4 nines, pure 24-karat gold. Its design is based on the famous Buffalo nickel of 1913 to 38. Wildly popular with investors and collectors, the U.S. government had to stop production because of a shortage of specially made gold blanks. It's no wonder the price of this edition is going through the roof. Now you can reserve your own copy of the $50 gold Buffalo clad in 14 milligrams of pure gold. National Collectors Mint's private non-monetary minting recreates James Earl Frazier's American Buffalo against a mirror-like background on one side, and his iconic Native American Indian head stands out in stunning relief on the other. The final issue price was to be set at $50 per proof, but during our special release, this 24-karat pure gold-clad masterpiece can be yours for only $9.95. With gold skyrocketing past $1,300 an ounce, price can only be guaranteed for 7 days. Each new 2011 $50 gold Buffalo Tribute proof comes with an individually numbered certificate of authenticity verifying that each piece is clad in 14 milligrams of pure 24-karat gold, is proof struck, and is based on the famous design of James Earl Frazier's Buffalo nickel. There is a strict limit of 5 proofs per caller. Distribution will take place in registration number order. Earliest reservations receive the lowest registration numbers, so you must hurry. Avoid disappointment and future regret. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-304-8676. That's 1-800-304-8676. Strict limit 5 proofs per caller, so call 1-800-304-8676. That's 1-800-304-8676.
It's been a while since the Monday Night Bus has gone to Tampa, but we'll see the Buccaneers and one of the best young quarterbacks in the business.
Well, we all know the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and the Buccaneers have their quarterback for the next 10 years in Josh Freeman. He's at his best in crunch time.
Well, he better get rid of the ball quick because the Colts can still do one thing as good as anybody, and that's rush the passer. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, this will be a good one.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice from Dover's Monster Mile. Live on ESPN2, getting ready for Sunday's third race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Jeff Gordon, man with a lot of past success here at this racetrack, heading back into the attention of Alan Gustafson and his crew. After putting in a couple of laps on the racetrack, Gordon certainly looking to keep the momentum going that he's regained, in my opinion. Last Sunday at New Hampshire. Matt Kenseth out on the racetrack. Won here in May. Jamie, what are they saying now?
Well, he was second in that first practice, but the car is feeling quite different this time.
Yeah, no good, Jimmy. I don't know if it's the track changed that much for nationwide practice or with the set of tires or what it is, but not too good.
And Matt Kenseth talking about what it could be to make it different. Just for the record, it is about 8 degrees warmer, so not a big degree of temperature change, but he has about 9 laps on that set of tires. So he did run them at the end of the first practice, and he's been on the same set in this practice so far, Alan.
Yeah, if that's the case, he's on the same tires. The lap times are really good now, so I think Jimmy made a good adjustment for him.
But Jimmy sure made a good adjustment for him in the May race here. Kenseth was running 4th. When a caution came out late in the race, lap 363 of 400. They all came down pit road. Jimmy made the call for 2 tires. The 3 guys who were running in front of him at the caution, they went for 4. Mark Martin didn't pit under that yellow. Matt passed him after the restart, never gave up the lead, and sprayed the champagne in Dover's victory lane.
Yeah, the 4 tires were not worth as much as what most people thought they were going to be.
So you mean track position made a difference in one of these races?
Yeah. What a shock.
Yeah.
Of course, now, in this race a year ago, Matt had some trouble getting onto pit road, locked up the tires, ended up blowing out the left front, and that's not the first time he's had trouble getting to pit road at Dover. You had to know we'd see this video somewhere.
This is not watch it. This is not a pit strategy that he wants to use again. Oh, tried to get just a little too much getting on pit road.
He's running 4th at the time in that race, and that's one of those that Matt would just like that video to go away and never, ever be shown again.
Yeah, the good thing is commitment line's way back before that now, and the cone will be back there, so you can't get yourself, you shouldn't get yourself in that position anyway.
Pit road here at Dover redone for 2009 as part of what they called the Monster Mile Makeover. How much of a makeover is this 48 car been getting, Vince?
Well, they're continuing to work on it, Alan. There's no doubt about it. Listen to Jimmy Johnson as he gives you the breakdown on what this race car is doing right now.
The longer I run on this, I know I've been loose in, but I've gotten over the fact that I'm loose in. The longer I run on this, the less I feel the left front after max compression on the way to part throttle. And it's not that I'm asking to be looser there, but I'm feeling like with this combination, I feel less the left front through there working with me than I had the other way.
So there you heard it. Couldn't get much more of a thorough description there on the 48 Low Chevy. They've made some changes. Back out to see if it's any better.
We just heard him say that he kind of gotten over that loose end thing and fixing that and concentrating more on some other things.
Yeah, and as you get laps on the tires, you have to back that entry up a little bit anyway, so you kind of forget about that part of it. But this is a racetrack that you really do want to feel the left front working and feel like you have control. When you turn the wheel, you're wanting it to drive off of that left front a little bit more to help you point and get where you need to go.
How much is that feeling of loose in exaggerated by what Jimmy Johnson's going to do right here down the hill, dropping off into that corner.
Yeah, and we've heard drivers already talk about the sticking the landing, and that's what it is. And it's just an uncomfortable feeling. Even when your car is really good, it's a little uncomfortable on that entry every single lap, and they're going to do it 20 times, and that's really uncomfortable too, even to watch.
Yeah, that was scary.
Don't like to see those hands cross over like that in the middle of these corners. But again, all of that said, I'll borrow a word that Vince used a little while ago reporting on this car, tinkering. It feels like they're tinkering, yikes, with this race car still. And overall, they still have a pretty good piece.
Yeah, pretty good, except right there they were trying to get rid of some of that tightness, I believe, that Jimmy was talking about. The front end just not turning on the exit of the corner, and I think they've got that a little bit too much.
Having a deja vu moment here, thinking about him last year practicing for this race, and I'm not sure, but I think he was struggling with some of these same things we're seeing.
If you go up there and start messing with the front end, he wanted to feel that left front a little bit more. And when you start doing that, whether it's with toe, something with a shock, but anyway, you start making that left front work, you get it.
And it is much looser down in 3 and 4. I about wrecked both times through there.
Yeah, that was close to wrecking a couple times.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, you talk about reminding you of last year. He won the race last year.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they're going. I think they're doing the same things.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to make this car do what he wants. And I think they're kind of doing the same process. And sometimes you got to get on each side of the problem before you can narrow down on what you need to fix.
Kurt Busch out on the racetrack in the 22, but he's going to head back into the garage. Here's a team that needs to put together a 400-mile run from start to finish on Sunday. They've had trouble adjusting their car as the track conditions change, as the race goes on. We've heard the vocal radio transmissions about it. And that's going to be a big issue here on Sunday.
Yeah, they need to have a good race here and need to make good adjustments, good solid run. Their strong point's been 1.5 mile racetracks. They've got 2 of those coming up, so a good solid run here gives them some hope.
Kurt headed back to the attention of Steve Addington and the crew as they roll through final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the Monster Mile in Dover.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his IndyCar. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
This is how you're going to win a championship. You never quit. Come on, baby.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is on, and nobody has you covered with more access and information than NASCAR.com. With in-depth editorial features, video previews, interviews, and highlights, as well as the all-new Chasecaster. There's no better place to follow your driver's every move.
Bring it home, baby.
The ultimate online destination for NASCAR coverage is NASCAR.com.
It's the dawn of a new era as the Huskers make their Big Ten debut on the road against the reigning conference champs. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Nebraska, Wisconsin, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Saturday at 8 on ABC. College football lives here.
Ask me.
If you think even the best bed can only lie there,
ask me what it's like when my Tempur-Pedic moves.
Talk to someone who owns an adjustable version of the most highly recommended bed in America.
Ask me about my Tempur Advanced Ergo. Ask me about having all the right moves.
These are real Tempur Advanced Ergo owners. Find one for yourself. Check out Twitter. Try your friends on Facebook. See what they have to say, unedited.
Goes up. Ask me what it's like to get a massage anytime you want.
Goes down.
Ergonomics.
Ergonomics.
Tempur-Pedic brand owners are more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand.
問我點解唔想離開我嘅 Ergo.
Ask me why I'm glad I didn't wait till I'm too old to enjoy this.
Start asking real owners.
Ask me how to make your first move.
It's the perfect time to save up to $400 on your own Ergo.
Find out more at Tempur-Pedic.com.
Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
Reminder that tomorrow the NASCAR Nationwide Series runs 200 miles here at Dover's Monster Mile. See it here on ESPN2 at 3 Eastern Time. NHRI Drag Racing, the Auto Plus NHRI Nationals from Maple Grove, Reading, Pennsylvania. ESPN2 qualifying Saturday, late night, and the finals are Sunday. The Sunday NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race from here in Dover starts on ESPN at 1 Eastern Time. And Petit Le Mans for the American Le Mans Series is on ABC Sunday at 4 Eastern Time. That this week's motorsports calendar on the ESPN networks.
Yeah, Maples Grove Raceway. I stood between the two top fuel cars on the starting line one time.
Up at the tree, yeah.
That was the last time I did that.
Shake your feelings. And your eyeballs and your
everything.
Yeah, tremendous. Kevin Harvick, one of the championship contenders, out in this Childers 29 car. One of the drivers sporting the pink in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And cloud cover starting to creep across this racetrack now, which leads us to looking at some numbers of what it is right now temperature-wise here at Dover and what the forecast for Sunday is. That's a 20-degree difference. It will affect things. How?
Well, obviously the engines are going to run better. They got cooler air going in them. And if the sun is out, I don't know how much it's going to really affect the track surface. It seems like this track doesn't take rubber very well when the sun is not out in this cloud cover. But if the sun's out, I think it will. That's pretty cool, though. I can't remember racing here when it's quite that cool.
No, but historically, you don't see the concrete affected quite as much by the temperature change like that. I think the sun does more to it, and the rubber buildup. We'll have to see how that is affected, because usually when the sun's out, we see that buildup start to happen on the racetrack.
That was
Maybe
a little bit better with the back.
Quite get that much.
In that 80, I was trying to take more advantage of the back, and it didn't have it. It feels like now that's too tight. Center exit, kind of. You know, just I feel like I'm gonna burn the right front off like that.
Looked like that was the 10th run they'd made.
Yeah, he's got a hard 10 working there.
Yeah, the hard way.
Kyle, one of those guys that needs to have a good run here on Sunday. Jamie?
And we just heard Kyle Busch's radio. He's so detailed. Before he came in last time, he said there was no grip in the rear in 1 and 2, and he hasn't found anything that helps in 3. So Mr. Crew Chief Andy Petrie, how difficult is it for his crew chief to adjust in all 4 corners of this track?
Well, it's virtually impossible to fix the car at every segment on both ends of the track. What you do is you look for the best compromise, and with Dave Rogers, you got one of the best driving talents behind the wheel. He's going to have to make adjustments to kind of smooth it all out. So all they can do is try to do the best they can.
Yeah, the two ends are different here. I mean, the aero view that we show and we talk about this racetrack shows that it should be pretty close to the same, but the drive's totally different. You feel like you fall off going into 1 a little bit more than what you do in 3, and the exit of turn 2 is a little bit different than what you get over in 4. So it's hard to make the car work everywhere around this racetrack just the way you would like to.
Mark Martin has posted the fastest lap in this practice so far, 5 car. That was the first lap that he ran earlier. This back out for another brief run for Mark. He's only run a total of 5 laps in this practice, so I make the assumption that this 5 car's working on some qualifying runs here.
Must be. That's kind of uncharacteristic of Mark. He usually runs a lot of laps.
Back to the garage and Vince.
Jimmy Johnson is certainly keeping an eye on the 5-time champ. 29 points behind the leader, Tony Stewart, coming to a track where he's won 6 times, and they're trying to fine-tune this race car.
Is that where you needed to turn better? I could feel the left front more in that general area, but the back of the car just didn't have the ability to hang on. It was just turning off the right rear.
So you heard him say turning a little bit too much off the right rear. Let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim, you got some help for him?
Well, I think he's got one of the best guys in the business, Chad Knaus. He really understands his race car. But what they're trying to do, guys, trying to utilize every tire on a race car. And what that means, when you've got camber in the car and you're not utilizing 100% of the tire, the trick is to get the tire to work as much as you possibly can. Now, Jimmy, he's an expert. He feels every movement in that race car. But when he's talking about the right rear, sometimes you have to go to the right rear and tighten the car up by getting it to get into the racetrack more. But it might be as simple as air pressure, or just like we were talking about with these bump stops right here. If you take a 16th off and get that tire back into the racetrack, that's going to help the car tremendously. But these guys, it's always a compromise and a challenge. You work on the front till you get as good as you can, then you go back to the back and keep working. Guys?
And the important thing is fine-tuning.
Yeah.
Not major wholesale.
They're never perfect, ever. Yeah. You're always looking for something better.
Yeah, and I think they made a quick adjustment, and I don't know this for sure, but just saying, listening to Jimmy, got the left front doing what he wanted, but it had the right rear kicked out a little bit. They made a pretty quick adjustment. Could have been a track bar, dropping the track bar just a little bit on the right side that got him to drive off that he kind of needed and help that feel. We just saw they put a sticker set of tires on this car. We'll just have to see their progress now.
Yeah, one thing you want to do, you want to make sure you don't have a set of tires that are acting a little weird. It makes you adjust your car out of the picture. Okay, so you want to, okay, let's just put another set on, make a run, and just make sure that this is what our car's doing and maybe not some other, little quirky set of tires or something like that.
You see the differences in some of the runs that Jimmy's made. The long run to start the practice, a few of the shorter ones as they've tried some of those little things that we saw maybe not working out. When they get one that has the car closer to what they want, they'll go make probably another long run again to see what the fall off is and how that particular setup holds its speed over a longer run.
This car is struggling huge right now. Tony Stewart, I really felt like coming in here with the momentum that he's had the last couple of weeks, even though this was a terrible racetrack for him, that he was going to run better. I take that momentum and make something out of this, but man, so far he's way down.
And the thing that really concerns me about this, too, is his teammate, Ryan Newman, is just up in the 33rd spot. So both of these cars struggling, Vince.
It's interesting, Andy and DJ, as Tony Stewart was talking about momentum this week, he said people feel momentum, but the race car doesn't know anything about momentum. It only knows what you put in it and how it's driven. And right now, this race car doesn't like what's been put in it.
Got no security getting in, and then in the center it tries to loosen the nose, but it's not like when it loosens the nose that the back's locked in. We got the back out of the track, and we don't have a cut.
No doubt about it, the car at Dover doesn't care what you did at New Hampshire and Chicagoland, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if they don't have the right setup, I don't care who's driving it or what they're doing, they can't make the thing go faster than it'll go.
And you talk about 48 fine-tuning and so on. These guys are wholesaling. They're struggling right now, trying to find something that'll get this car going around this monster mile for the championship leader. Tony Stewart, of course, a two-time winner here at Dover. They both came in the same season back in the year 2000. And the last 2 weeks have been good for Tony Stewart as well, where the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is concerned. Winning at Chicagoland, and then the win at New Hampshire last Sunday. But Tony's struggling today in Dover.
It's been a while since the Monday Night Bus has gone to Tampa, but we'll see the Buccaneers and one of the best young quarterbacks in the business.
Well, we all know the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and the Buccaneers have their quarterback for the next 10 years in Josh Freeman. He's at his best in crunch time.
Well, he better get rid of the ball quick because the Colts can still do one thing as good as anybody, and that's rush the passer. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, this will be a good one.
They called it unfit for civilian eyes. This is footage you were never meant to see. It's not just World War II. It's what the war looked like down the barrel of a gun. It's Apocalypse, the Second World War, the first completely new film history of World War II made in decades, now preserved forever on DVD. Throughout the war, soldiers on both sides carried handheld film cameras, capturing combat as it happened. Now, for the first time, filmmakers have combined these original uncensored images to create a real visual history of the war. 50% of it has never been seen before. The New York Times calls this footage chilling, the New York Daily News astonishing, and Smithsonian says it will forever change the way we look at the war. Get Apocalypse, the Second World War on 4 DVDs for just $59.99. But wait, this is a documentary everyone should own. So when you call with your credit card, we'll take $20 off. You get nearly 6 hours of eyewitness footage for just $39.99. Plus, when you do it in the next 10 minutes, we'll pay shipping and handling. That's an additional savings of nearly $7. Chances are you've never dodged rounds from a German Tiger tank, crouched in Pearl Harbor as Japanese Zeros attacked, or flown in the nose of a bomber above Berlin. That is, not until now. This is what World War II really looked like, and this is as real as it gets. Call now to get Apocalypse, the Second World War. More than 350 pulse racing minutes on 4 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship it for free. Don't see World War II secondhand. See it for yourself. Call now.
Call 1-800-253-2402 to order Apocalypse, the Second World War on 4 DVDs for $39.99 and receive free shipping and handling when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card or order online at timelife.com/apocalypse.
A fast Friday for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover. All their practice today, qualifying Saturday, and race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Sunday, 1 Eastern on ESPN. Jeff Gordon looking like a potential winner at New Hampshire last week until a tough exchange between the fuel cans on the final stop left them short of the fuel they needed in the finish. He had to back off. Got a good result out of it.
I needed to finish that lap right there.
But didn't get the win. Now Gordon showing up 26th in rank as far as overall fast laps are concerned in this practice.
That's not all you're looking for in this practice. You're going back and looking at this data from all of these laps from not only your car but everybody else's, seeing how you stack up after you make quite a few laps and put laps on the tires.
Has Alan Gustafson got his playoff beard going there?
Yeah, I guess so. And what I would look at it is a couple of drivers that Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. What are their fast laps? Some of these others may be fast, but they're not necessarily the drivers that you think that you're going to have to beat. So Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch are just over a tenth as far as that fast lap goes. But Jeff's car looked like it's hanging on really well. Andy pointed that out a while ago. Looked like they made some nice adjustments, and he puts more laps on the tires. His car stays pretty consistent.
Joey Logano said something interesting coming in here to Dover this weekend. He said that this has been a really good track for him, despite, the first thing that all flashes to our memory was the big tumble that we saw a little while ago. But he said this has been a pretty good track for him, and that he had more confidence in his car lately that they were bringing to the racetrack each week for him. Said, I'm very confident we'll have a fast car. I have more confidence now in that than normal.
Yeah, it might be a good track for him, but every time I see this car, I have to think of that big crash you were talking about. it was just crazy. I mean, look at this.
It just looked like, it was obviously not going to be too good sliding through the grass and end up in the wall, but the perfect or imperfect timing of the 43 car coming there to launch him.
Just so spectacular, he didn't really get hurt, but you can't help but think he gets shaken up after something like that.
I laughed because I knew if I mentioned it,
he started it.
He rolled a 7 there, by the way.
Rolled a 7, yeah.
That's an unlucky thing, right?
Got that right.
I bet you Joey doesn't come here without thinking about that one.
Well, you can't help but. Yeah, you have to think about that. But the good thing is you can think about it and know that you walked away from it.
Be nice to see if he has a good run here on Sunday. And again, Joey saying very confident in his ability to have a good car this weekend. Speaking of confidence, this racetrack in Dover has been phenomenal for Greg Biffle over the years. And Biff, with the great run at New Hampshire on Sunday, said we finally got a finish where we were running, despite running out of gas on the last lap, and finishing third instead of second. But check out the Biff. 10 top 10s in 18 starts here, 2 wins.
Yeah, that's impressive. This is one of, Greg Biffle is just such an aggressive driver. This kind of track pays that off. You run aggressively, and this track will pay it off. Some don't, but this one does.
Yeah, and it brings 2 other drivers to come to mind. You think about Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch, the success they've had here. aggressive race drivers. You know, they get after it with the throttle and don't mind hanging it out a little bit. You know, it's not that they're driving the car that loose by any means. They just stay in the throttle and that'll kick it loose sometimes. It looks pretty spectacular. But Greg Biffle, yeah, you think about somebody that can get the job done here. He sure gets it done.
You know, unlike some oval tracks, I think we were talking in New Hampshire last week where it seemed like they were off the gas in the middle of the corner forever. When you listen to the throttle on, throttle off time that these guys are in these corners, you're hardly out of the gas.
Oh, yeah, and you'll get drivers doing it a little bit differently. Some that they roll down in there and pick the throttle up a little bit and then want to mat it as they come up out of the corner. Others are going to drive it around with the throttle. So there's different ways, but you better be in the gas a lot if you're going anywhere.
One thing will tell you just how much they're in the gas. Last week, average lap times in race trim, 30 seconds. Now, we're still talking about 1 mile track versus 1 mile track. They're 7 seconds faster here than they were last week.
Kyle Busch having some tuning done on his 18 machine, working final practice here at Dover. Of course, here on the Delaware shore, blue crabs are the local delicacy. Go get them all boiled and steamed up, maybe some shrimp to go along with it, a little corn on the cob. Got yourself a little Delmarva Peninsula snack.
I bet Brad's there somewhere now.
Now, that wouldn't be a snack for Brad. That'd just be barely an appetizer.
Nobody else can get anything to eat.
Undefeated ACC heavyweights meet for a pivotal showdown, and the Irish battle the Boilermakers. Saturday, Clemson, Virginia Tech at 6 on ESPN2, and Notre Dame, Purdue at 8 on ESPN. College football lives here.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
I'd love a new car. How do I get rid of this one?
So let's think about this. It makes perfect sense that the best place to find a car is also the best place to sell one. Autotrader.com. I mean, everyone knows that Autotrader.com and their ginormous quantity of serious shoppers is the place to go to sell a car. But now there's something new. Introducing the Trade-In Marketplace. A brand new way to get an offer on your car that's 100% backed by Autotrader.com. And it's free. Get started right now at Autotrader.com and fill in some information on your car. Within minutes, you'll get an offer on your car that you can print from your computer. Simply have a participating dealer verify your information and then use that offer to trade in your car or walk off with a nice fat check. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Imagine having an offer in your hands before you walk into a dealership. Get your 100% backed offer today at Autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive marketplace.
Welcome to an exclusive tour of the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. We have big changes to discuss and new faces to meet. But first, we're going to take a look at some of the new cars hustling their way into the series.
Just traded some serious paint with that Mustang.
These are some of the new faces that I mentioned earlier. Of course, their faces aren't always this angry looking.
The 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Something new around every turn.
Tomorrow night, ESPN2 and ESPN deliver 2 primetime thrillers. First on ESPN2 at 6, Frank Beamer and the 11th-ranked Hokies have a real test when they take on the number 13 Clemson Tigers. Then on ESPN at 8 Eastern, Brian Kelly and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish look to win their 3rd straight against Danny Hope's Purdue Boilermakers. Both games part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Got some good college football matchups this weekend to watch. Got some good NASCAR racing as well from Dover's Monster Mile. And a guy to keep an eye on for this Sunday's race, A.J. Allmendinger driving this Richard Petty 43.
This is a track he really likes. He's taken to quite well. He's had some really good runs. I don't know if his finishes will bear it out, but he's run well enough. Actually, we've seen him, I think it was last year, run well enough to win.
Yeah, in May last year. Had a speeding penalty, lap 287, but had led 143 laps prior to that penalty. Managed the top 10, finished 10th, but boy, it sure looked like he might pick up that first win on that day.
I think you might fairly say the best track for Allmendinger so far where past performance is concerned. Denny Hamlin, big Virginia Tech Hokie fan, but focusing on his racing right now, Jamie.
Yes, he's 22nd on the board right now, Alan. They've been working to make the car better, and this was the latest radio transmission.
Tight on throttle there. Tight in the center also. We're at a point where we probably need to work on that. It's delaying me. I'm getting in fine, right in the center. I'm not getting back to the gas as soon as I need to. I've got to wait too long to get back in the throttle because I'll just push on exit.
Makes his way back into the garage. He's 12th in points right now. He was on NASCAR Now this week and was asked about his relationship with his crew chief, Mike Ford, up there on the left-hand side. And he said, you know, anytime we struggle, I look at this guy like he's the one that took me to 8 victories last year. We win together, we lose together.
Mike Ford and team engineers looking on and taking that feedback from Denny Hamlin, making some notes, and they'll decide on what the next plan of attack is on that 11 car here as we work through this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice. Juan Pablo Montoya shows second on the board as far as fastest laps in this practice, bailing out here to go back into the garage after this run. That was the 29th lap Montoya has put onto the racetrack in this practice. Talk about people this racetrack favoring aggressive drivers. Hello.
It should favor him. That stat didn't bear it out.
No, it sure didn't show that this would be one. And you'd think that this might be with the banking, how well he's run at Atlanta in years past and things like that. Might transfer a little bit. And as you said, Alan, being that aggressive, but hasn't worked out for him here, especially as of late.
Team really could use a good finish. They have struggled for a good bit of this season. Kyle Busch looking on while adjustments are made to his car in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice at Dover.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
I ate breakfast and got heartburn. 3rd day this week, so I took my heartburn pill and some antacids. We're having Mexican tonight, so another pill then? Unless we eat later, then pill later. If I get a snack now, pill now. Skip the snack, pill later. Late dinner, pill now? I have got heartburn in my head.
Stop the madness of treating frequent heartburn. It's simple with Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn.
No heartburn in the first place? Great.
It's been a while since the Monday Night Bus has gone to Tampa, but we'll see the Buccaneers and one of the best young quarterbacks in the business.
Well, we all know the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and the Buccaneers have their quarterback for the next 10 years in Josh Freeman. He's at his best in crunch time.
Well, he better get rid of the ball quick because the Colts can still do one thing as good as anybody, and that's rush the passer. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, this will be a good one.
Are your credit cards maxed out? Just making minimum payments or even behind on your bills? Freedom Debt Relief's mission is to help you get rid of your credit card debt.
After my divorce, I had $17,000 in credit card debt. Freedom Debt Relief settled all 7 of my credit card bills with one low monthly program payment.
This is a unique program that will get you relief and on your way to resolving your debt. Make the most important call of your life today.
Call Freedom Debt Relief now at 1-800-324-8991. That's 1-800-324-8991.
I've never caught anything in this old pond, but what I am catching is live sports. With WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app, I get ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPNU, and more live on my computers, iPads, and iPhones. Oh, fish ain't biting. Time to get the dynamite.
Watch ESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. The ESPN networks, live anywhere.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice from Dover's Monster Mile. Ongoing, leading up to Sunday's 3rd race in the chase for the Sprint Cup, 1 Eastern, ESPN. Overcast beginning to creep over more and more here at this racetrack. Supposed to bring a weather system through over the next day or so that's really going to cool the temperatures off a lot. make conditions a lot different from what, for example, Jeff Gordon is practicing in now, Jamie.
Well, before he came into the garage, he was pretty happy with the radio, and this is what he told his crew chief.
I don't know, man. We're close. Just both ends of the racetrack are different.
And Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, said, okay, let's leave it, but we'll tweak on it. So they tweaked on it. He went back out, and now Jeff Gordon's saying, I don't know, man. We're just a little bit tight. He's 26th on the board, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson, teammates at Hendrick Motorsports, talking it over.
Two drivers had a lot of success at this racetrack for sure. That's a lot of knowledge right there.
Mark's always so animated talking about his race cars, isn't he? I love it. The qualifying order for tomorrow is set by the inverse of fastest laps in the first practice session from today. Well, the man in that neon 27 had the fastest lap in that practice, so Paul Menard will be the final driver to qualify in Saturday afternoon's Sprint Cup Series time trials. And when you look across the numbers that we track, like 5-lap averages and 10-lap averages in this final practice session,
it is, what's important. I mean, this is what they're trying to do in this practice, is be fast over the long haul.
Guess who shows up in that top spot again?
Paul Menard.
Does that in the 10-lap averages too.
Yeah, that 5-lap shows that you have speed in your race car, so that's a good thing. But when you can show up on that 10-lap average too, that makes you feel even more confident about your car.
And this team could use a good run. Had that big win at Indianapolis, right? Since then, their best finish has been 18th.
Yeah, just kind of surprising, if they had that. It was a huge win, though. I think they would carry a little bit of that momentum forward.
It's been kind of one of those, if it could go wrong, it has periods, from
a little loose there.
Races where they just didn't perform to races where they got swept up in somebody else's wreck to, all kind of stuff. But so far, performing well at Dover, Jamie.
He is, yeah, Alan. Looking back since his win, 7 of the last 8, he's been 18th or worse. So you're right, they definitely need a turnaround. I just talked to his crew chief, Slugger Labby. He said the car is good, as you guys were saying. He said, we're just trying to make sure that it doesn't get too loose. They're keeping their eye on race day on Sunday, and it's supposed to be dramatically cooler. So they're just making sure the car works all over and it doesn't get too loose.
Yeah, this is a good gauge. If I'm Paul, I'm following a guy here that I know is one of the best. And if I can run him down, I know I'm going to be pretty good.
Yeah, from the first race that Matt Kenseth ran, I believe it was 1998 for Bill Elliott. He's been good at this racetrack. Obviously won back here earlier this year. But you're right, Andy. That's a really good gauge. And Paul can see exactly what he's feeling and getting from his race car right here, right now, where he might need to work on it.
Your memory is correct. September 1998 for Matt Kenseth. Where did he finish in that race?
4th, 6th. No, I think maybe I finished.
I think he ran better than that for a long time.
He did. Yeah.
Seeking speed. Tony Stewart still.
Well, he has picked himself up off the bottom of the chart, but not much farther. He's still only 36 quickest.
But he got that number of the fast lap closer to what some of these other drivers are running. Now we'll see as he runs on if the car stays with him. And something that I'm hearing that's totally different than the past here, and not saying, I mean, back a number of years ago, but used to fight when you came here, you'd have to start your car out on the free side because it would tighten up. And these drivers now, and most of them told me that, especially here in the first race, that they had to start these cars tighter because they were really getting looser as they ran on. How about this 14 car, Vince?
Well, they sure have been working on it a lot, DJ. I mean, they made a right rear spring change before the previous run, and then Tony came in, says it was uneasy on entry, too tight in the center and on exit. So they made rear shock changes for this next run. You see him pulling off the track and coming in now. So continuing to work on this car for Tony Stewart. You know, Stewart has said this week, it's the one race in the chase I'm worried about the most. And that's bearing out so far here today in practice.
So championship leader Tony Stewart feeling that they've still got work to do on that 14 car to get ready for Sunday's 400 miler here at Dover. New Jersey native Martin Truex Jr. spent the last couple of days up around his hometown, a big benefit dinner on Wednesday night and a golf tournament on Thursday to benefit the foundation that he operates to support charitable causes for children and so on. And of course, this racetrack such a huge factor in his career. Wins in that old Busch North Series put him on the map. Nationwide Series wins here, and his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win, 2007. He said there were probably about 30, 40 relatives all knocking on the gates to victory lane trying to get in. He had to keep turning to the security guard and say, "Yep, that's another one. Yep, that's another one. Yep, let her in too. Let him in too." Said he's hoping for a similar scene here this Sunday. But he's going to need to find some more speed in this 56 car at the moment. If he's going to have that winning setup. He's 31st overall right now. How about Kyle Busch? Have they found some more speed in this 18 car, Jamie?
Well, as we reported, he wanted to get all 4 corners of this racetrack just right. They were adjusting on the car, and this was his radio about 10 minutes ago.
I like that. Yeah, 10-4, that's the best we've looked in race trips. Pretty good lap times, too. I'd like to say I need a little bit more on exit, just, trying to get the front end of the track. I don't know if we want to do that other change I was talking about to see how far that'll get us, and then try to work on the front or what.
Now, Kyle Busch is a 2-time winner here, and it's surprising to see this, but Kyle Busch has never won a race in the chase that he was part of. So he hopes to change that on Sunday, Alan.
Sure does, and as far as progress is concerned, first you heard the conversation there between Kyle and Dave Rogers. Second, some numbers to back it up. It does appear they've improved this car.
I like what I'm hearing out of both of these guys, the crew chief and Kyle, that they're going about this in a very methodical fashion. They're getting somewhere with it and making the car better. It's hard. I mean, it's really hard to fix what he's wanting. He's trying to fix 4 corners of the racetrack, and they're both different. But they're making some headway. They've found a good compromise.
Yeah, I like what I see from those times. I like what I hear there. And the thing that's really good, and I've talked to Dave Rogers about this, you heard Kyle say, "Would you like to try what I was talking about?" They really take a lot of what Kyle Busch tells them about the cars, suggesting changes. A lot of times now it's more comes from the crew chief or the engineer about changes. You kind of tell them what the car's doing. But Kyle has specific things that he'll tell them, and they're willing to try that because they have that much confidence in him.
And he's that good with the cars. He keeps up with them. He's got, like I said, he's got his own race team. He really knows his cars and makes good decisions.
Another guy with a good track record here at the Monster Mile, Carl Edwards, out there in the 99 car. One of the championship chasers who could use to capitalize on a track that has been his strength here in the past.
You think this would? I'm sorry. You think this track would play to a guy like Carl, with his, it's a physical track and he's in extremely good shape.
5 top 3 finishes in the last 10 Dover races.
Wow, it does play to him.
I think you're on your point there. Glad to help back it up. Working on the double 9s while Jimmy Johnson gets the go-ahead from his team to get back aboard the 4.8 and fire it up for another run in final practice in Dover.
The game day bus pulls over in Madtown as the crew is live at Bascom Hill for the Cornhuskers' Big Ten debut against the Badgers.
Coming into Camp Randall at night, the atmosphere is going to be electric.
And Urban Meyer's Film Room Spotlight shines on Clemson's explosive offense, plus how Wisconsin's Heisman hopeful is chasing the dream of a father and son.
My dad pushed me every single day, making me a better man. It was an awesome thing for me.
ESPN College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, Saturday at 9 a.m. on ESPNU, continuing at 10 on ESPN.
Small space, meet big power. The Craftsman Compact Right Angle Impact Driver. Over 3,000 impacts per minute for powerful torque on the toughest projects in the tightest spaces. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
When a job calls for more muscle than a drill, Craftsman Impact Drivers answer the call, delivering over 3,000 impacts per minute, giving you greater torque for greater force to power through the toughest jobs. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
At TireRack.com, we stock an incredible number of tires, nearly 1 million tires. But we don't just stock them, we test them. And we post user reviews so you can find which tires are the best for you and your car. One more way Tire Rack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires. Buy a set of 4 select Bridgestone tires and get up to a $100 American Express reward card by mail. For details, go to TireRack.com/TV. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
Through turn 1, it's still Richard Petty wins the Southeastern 500.
This is how a young man was crowned a king. And a kid from Dawsonville finally lived up to his nickname. This is when we discovered just how high smoke can rise. It's where family traditions get started, and other traditions get taken in a whole new direction.
Taking a backwards lap.
This is where names are engraved, not just in metal, but in history.
Live coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice from Dover International Speedway. Ongoing for this afternoon, leading up to Sunday afternoon's third race in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Been a lot of work done back in that garage on a lot of these cars. Some folks are still searching for it. Some are waiting while work's being done to their car. And some are out testing out the latest changes and adjustments and tinkerings on their car, like Jimmy Johnson. Vince has been following the story of the 5-time champ throughout the practice for us.
You know, Alan, it's interesting as you see the crew working down here in the garage area. Jimmy Johnson, of course, working out on track right now, but the crew's had a little bit of a bounce in their step. I guess that's what happens when you come to a track you've won 6 times, but they have not been totally satisfied with the way the car's handled.
Land's good. Part throttle is good. Towards the second apex, it starts to get snug, and compression going up the hill the second time, it's tight.
Chad Canal's been a bit disappointed and somewhat frustrated. You hear it in the tone of his voice and his mannerisms as he's down here and he visits with Jimmy in between. So certainly something they have not yet found that Chad and Jimmy are looking for.
They're probably going to find it, though. The last 5 races, Jimmy Johnson has led almost 1,200 laps.
At this racetrack?
At this track.
Yeah.
The last 5 races here. Second's Kyle Busch with 177.
And this discussion of how far back is Jimmy Johnson in this new scoring system, 1 point per position, right? Well, 4 times this season, a driver has been 29 points or more behind the leader and regained the lead in reasonably short order.
I'm with you. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, we talk about this, and I think those drivers that all have those 20-point deficits are all well within reach. 2-3 good weeks, and they're in good shape. My concern is the 48 hasn't shown the ability and the speed. We all kind of bought in that their consistency this year was better, had them an average finishing position that was better.
Yep.
But we haven't talked about it. They've only won 1 race to this point. And that's the thing that concerns me, because I think it's going to take a little more than consistency. They're going to have to win to get themselves totally back in this.
One thing I look at, just looking at Chad, he doesn't look that happy with what's going on right now.
I'll offer your counterpoint to that, methodically working through it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're going to fix it. I have full confidence. Like I said, I just told you, he's led almost 1,200 laps the last 5 races. They'll fix it.
Yeah, I think, again, as we said at the top of the show, I think that's why this is an important race for them if they're going to get back in the middle of this chase and have a good shot going forward in the races remaining.
Jimmy saying they needed a top 3 run here at Dover on Sunday. Tony Stewart also calling this a very important race in his bid for the championship. The guy that finished 6 laps down in May. Still seeking speed in this 14 car here on the Monster Mile. And they haven't found it so far.
They called it unfit for civilian eyes. This is footage you were never meant to see. It's not just World War II. It's what the war looked like down the barrel of a gun. It's Apocalypse, the Second World War, the first completely new film history of World War II made in decades, now preserved forever on DVD. Throughout the war, soldiers on both sides carried handheld film cameras, capturing combat as it happened. Now, for the first time, filmmakers have combined these original uncensored images to create a real visual history of the war. 50% of it has never been seen before. The New York Times calls this footage chilling, the New York Daily News astonishing, and Smithsonian says it will forever change the way we look at the war. Get Apocalypse, the Second World War on 4 DVDs for just $59.99. But wait, this is a documentary everyone should own. So when you call with your credit card, we'll take $20 off. You get nearly 6 hours of eyewitness footage for just $39.99. Plus, when you do it in the next 10 minutes, we'll pay shipping and handling. That's an additional savings of nearly $7. Chances are you've never dodged rounds from a German Tiger tank, crouched in Pearl Harbor as Japanese Zeros attacked, or flown in the nose of a bomber above Berlin. That is, not until now. This is what World War II really looked like, and this is as real as it gets. Call now to get Apocalypse, the Second World War. More than 350 pulse racing minutes on 4 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship it for free. Don't see World War II secondhand. See it for yourself. Call now.
Call 1-800-253-2402 to order Apocalypse, the Second World War on 4 DVDs for $39.99 and receive free shipping and handling when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card or order online at timelife.com/apocalypse.
It's been a while since the Monday Night Bus has gone to Tampa, but we'll see the Buccaneers and one of the best young quarterbacks in the business.
Well, we all know the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and the Buccaneers have their quarterback for the next 10 years in Josh Freeman. He's at his best in crunch time.
Well, he better get rid of the ball quick because the Colts can still do one thing as good as anybody, and that's rush the passer. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, this will be a good one.
Jeff Gordon looking over some of the data and notes in between runs in this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice at Dover International Speedway. Other side of that, Kurt Busch on the track in his 22 car, making another run. For Kurt, of course, last Sunday at New Hampshire just didn't go the way that they wanted it to, from them kind of being in the penalty box in the NASCAR inspection area till just before the start of the race to the way the race unfolded.
Yeah, they kind of got into a little jam there. Getting that car through inspection pre-race, they had to go through a couple of times, and NASCAR held them for a while their inspectors had lunch, and he got out there just a little bit late. I mean, he's in plenty of time to start the race, but a little panicky to begin with.
And then the adjustments as the race goes on has been a theme for this 22 team as we've gone on this season. Now, if you look at overall fast laps in this practice session, that car has just posted the second quickest.
That's pretty good. I mean, you know, David Strimmy is a wheel man, and he's taking a car that's not one of the top team cars and got it going pretty good here, 23:40.
Assuming that's qualifying trim.
Yeah, I definitely say that is for Strimmy, you know, and that's against a lot of these teams are doing race runs, and not a lot of them have done qualifying runs, but Mark Martin did. We felt like at the beginning he ran a 23:21, so it's pretty close to what Mark ran.
We're talking about Tony Stewart and the apparent struggles of the 14 car continuing here at Dover. Here's his team car, Ryan Newman, who, when you look at the overall fast laps on the computer, watch that ticker as it comes by, you're going to see 37th and 38th places are where you will find the 39 and 14 cars.
Yeah, we talked about Tony not running well here in the first race. Ryan Newman finished 21st, 2 laps down, so they really needs to have some work done in that Newman-Haas camp, Jamie.
And they've definitely been working on this 39 car. They are the lowest chaser on the board right now, and they were in first practice as well. Here's the radio from Ryan Newman.
It's just numb in the front. There's just no turn to it. It's just like it's three-wheeling off a caster in the center of the car, and it's just whatever the rear wants to steer it, it's what it's doing. It's not like, it's not that the rear's not oversteering it enough. It's just the front end's just not cut.
And his crew chief, Tony Gibson, usually a happy-go-lucky guy smiling. He is all business today. They were expecting this to be a better track for him because this is statistically Ryan Newman's best track, Alan.
Newman Haas.
Yes. I was going to say Newman and Stewart. That's what I was going to say. But they're talking about their race cars in two different areas. Tony was talking about the rear of his car that he couldn't get into the racetrack. And Ryan didn't have as much to say about the rear, but the front was really numb on his. So I'm sure that they're probably doing different things so they can kind of combine notes at the end and see what they might put together. But, gosh, they got both ends of these race cars not working.
I was going to take you off the hook on that and tell you we've all done that 100 times. We followed Newman Haas racing for years in kart and IndyCar, right? And then Tony Stewart brought into this race team.
Stewart Haas with Newman driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you tried to take me off the hook all the time, I make too many mistakes to do that. So, but I appreciate it.
I thought I was going to take you off the hook, but I was wrong.
I did it on NASCAR Now a few weeks ago.
There you go. So Ryan Newman, not having gotten the finishes to start the chase he was hoping for, on the wrong end of the fuel mileage thing at Chicagoland, and then they had that flat right front in the final laps at New Hampshire. And I talked to Tony Gibson this morning in the garage, and he's kind of, well, what might have been.
Yeah, and last week was a real shame. They had a fast race car, and they started on the pole, led some of the race, got off a little bit, but we're still solidly in the top 10 when they had the right front problem, and then that just got them way behind.
Wound up finishing in 25th instead of in the top 10, and they got some work to do.
And a lot of work to do here, it still looks like, with that car.
Well, here's two friends running together in practice.
Well, now, wait a minute. They shook on it.
They did.
It was over. You thinking until the first time they tangle on the racetrack like I am?
Yeah, they might have shaken hands. I'm not sure they were looking eye to eye when they shook hands.
Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch. Working on it some more, Vince.
Well, I'll tell you what, I give this crew credit because they have made change after change after change under the direction of Chad Knaus to try to get this car just right for Jimmy Johnson.
The car would turn earlier than I was really looking for, although I didn't dislike it. When I got to the area that mattered, I think the lateral trails off, and it gets back on the left rear spring, it kind of shoves the nose. So it didn't last long enough. It was too early in the turn, what I was really after.
Doesn't sound like they found it, but it's not for lack of effort, that's for sure. They have been busy down here in this garage area.
What's good, though, is they have a guy like Jimmy that knows exactly what he's looking for with that field, and he knows when he doesn't have it. And so they don't waste a lot of time when they make a change and it's not exactly what he wants. Comes right back in and does something else.
Yeah, and I know Kurt Busch was probably thinking a little something else as he's running behind Jimmy there. But I like the idea of getting up closer to the car because these guys talk so much about the aero part of it. And what will your car do when you get close enough to try to make a pass on someone?
9 runs prior to this one for Jimmy Johnson. And you see some of the average times there. Now, again, what kind of tires are they on, so on and so on. Hard to figure, but that feedback from Jimmy on the feel of that car, they keep working at it.
Tom, check this out. Good gravy, Bill. Our insurance company doesn't have anything like it.
Magnificent, isn't it? With Progressive, it's easy to cover all of your favorite rides.
Progressive has truck insurance?
#1 in truck and motorcycle.
Is that a golf cart?
Yep. We also cover RVs, boats, ATVs. Anything else I can help you with?
Can I take a ride?
You need a ticket?
I'm first.
That's by the water slide. Okay. No running. Oh, dear.
Save on all your rides. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Hey fans, customize my gear. My gear. My gear. My gear. Only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
After claiming he wasn't a contender, Smoke caught fire, winning the first 2 chase races and grabbing the points lead. Now, as Tony Stewart burns white hot, can Jimmy Johnson rebound after a surprisingly shaky start? Or will Tony smoke him again? in the fight to tame the Monster Mile, nothing beats first place. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Dover, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Are your credit cards maxed out? Just making minimum payments or even behind on your bills? Freedom Debt Relief's mission is to help you get rid of your credit card debt.
After my divorce, I had $17,000 in credit card debt. Freedom Debt Relief settled all 7 of my credit card bills with one low monthly program payment.
This is a unique program that will get you relief and on your way to resolving your debt. Make the most important call of your life today.
Call Freedom Debt Relief now at 1-800-324-8991. That's 1-800-324-8991.
I thought there was something wrong with me. I wished it would go away.
Renee Richards has become the source of international controversy. Is she male or is she female?
I'm a woman like everyone else. Ask me how the match went instead.
What if I told you that you can change your life, but not who you are? ESPN Films presents Renee, directed by Eric Drath. Tuesday at 8 on ESPN. Brought to you by Buick.
This week on ABC's Saturday Night Football, Taylor Martinez and the number 8 Cornhuskers look to stamp themselves as a Big Ten threat in their first game in the conference when they face Russell Wilson and the number 7 Badgers. A couple of top 10 teams, Nebraska, Wisconsin. On Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice ongoing for another 15 minutes. Make it 17 and a half minutes. How's that? Kevin Harvick. Haven't talked a lot about Kevin in this practice session. 29 car. Looking to complete his 61st lap of the practice.
Well, looking at the lap times, I believe they're another team that's put on some tires, kind of maybe got their car where they thought may need to be, put on a set of stickers to see if they can make sure that's exactly what Kevin is needing.
I'll tell you, this is a team that's a credible threat for the championship. I think they learned something last year by being in contention all the way up to the end. And they've been really solid this year. And I think they focused a lot more on making their car the best it can be in these last 10. Vince?
That's exactly right, Andy. And even though Kevin Harvick doesn't have any wins here, he believes they've had some runs that have been better than maybe the finishing results indicated. So he's one of those that comes in a little optimistic. I had to laugh earlier when he came on the radio talking to Gil Martin, his crew chief, and he said, "We don't need a big change. We just need a good one."
Kevin Harvick second in the championship. Finishes of second at Chicagoland, 12th at New Hampshire to start the chase.
It's pretty solid right now on this run. Looking at the lap times.
Yeah, he's running a lot higher on the racetrack than what we've seen a lot of these, and we've seen that out of Kevin Harvick a lot, and that will help save the tires a little bit at this racetrack. You have to be careful not to get yourself in trouble there, though. You still need to be able to make speed down the bottom, especially after restarts and having the fresh tires on.
Had enough there. While Harvick heads back in, his Richard Childress Racing teammate Clint Boyer out on the speedway in that 33. Let's see, Boyer nearly won the race in New Hampshire last Sunday. Ran out of gas at 2 to go. Nearly won this race in May, was leading here at Dover when they went down pit road, got 4 tires. The other guys that got 2 got to the finish ahead of Boyer. The 4 tires not overcoming the lost track position.
Very nearly been a good year.
And we still very nearly are awaiting word on where Boyer's going to race next season. Are we here ready to pronounce how his practice has gone so far?
Well, if you just look at the speed, the overall speed, on his fastest lap, only 29.
But it hasn't run a lot of laps either.
No, that makes me think that maybe they've had the car in the garage making some pretty big changes.
Have been checking in on Dale Earnhardt Jr. a couple times in this practice session. He's back out again, Jamie.
Well, they brought the car that he finished second at Kansas with, so they had high expectations, but it has been a work in progress today.
I think you could trust what we just did. I could do this, but... No, I agree. That's good. My question is, what do I do next? I don't know if it's tight. I'm afraid to free it up until we get tires on it.
Well, you often hear us talk about spring rubbers. They take spring rubbers out, they put them in. This is what it is. And Dale Jr. on that radio didn't like how the car handled when they pulled it out. He came in, they added one in the left rear, and it helped the car a little bit. But he went on to say it's not helping a lot. We just have not been good all day. He's 35th right now, Alan.
Yeah, you want to try, you can use those spring rubbers to help you in a compression type situation where you want, when the car's loaded up and you want the spring to rate a little more then and maybe not so much after it's unloaded, you would maybe use that instead of changing the spring and changing the overall rate. Also, you'd use that to make the car more adjustable during the race, obviously.
Yeah, I always found that this was a racetrack because of the way you fall off and the compression that you get. Spring rubbers in a lot of the springs were good for me.
Get the right tires ready, guys. So we'll put tires on it. We'll make the adjustment.
Don't really use them in the front anymore.
Bounces worse.
But you can use the Packers up there to do kind of the same things on the shock. So I always found that, especially in the rear of the car too, that spring rubbers, especially at the start of a race, a good adjustment, and it gave me a better feel for the race car.
Did you know you're going to be talking to Mark Martin on the pace laps and during the race on Sunday as our in-race reporter?
I knew that. Looking forward to talking to Mark Martin. Hopefully some fans are going to send in some good questions.
ESPN.com, search in-race reporter if you want to help DJ with his preparation.
Yeah, send them all in.
For that in-race reporter.
We say that just one of them is the mailbag question, but sometimes I use the other one too as my question. So.
Of course, this Dover racetrack has been really, really good for Mark Martin over the years.
Now look at that, 50 starts. Almost half of them top 5 finishes.
I thought he had 100 and some thousand laps here or something like that. No,
how about that average
seems
finish?
That way, yeah, it's incredible.
And in the May race here, finished second.
He stayed out, didn't take tires at all. I was surprised he was able to hang on for that second place finish, but he did. I think the guys that took 4 tires were surprised that he hung on that long,
yeah,
too.
for sure. You can see right behind him, Jeff Burton holding on. I saw him go up the racetrack as we were showing that shot entering turn 3. See, he's running higher, trying to get a good run off the corner. See, a lot of drivers do that here. You can see different when we get to the race Sunday, just different lines going around here. But Jeff was trying to get to where he could get a good run. He's going to come into pits now. I don't think that was the field he was exactly looking for.
Yeah, you're talking about different lines. The late Bobby Hamilton drove for me up here, and he had such a different way of running this track. He would back off really, really early, run across the middle of the corner almost wide open, and then kind of ease up off the gas coming off the corner. I always thought that was weird, but he ran good with it.
Let's get an update on the progress of Kurt Busch's practice from Jamie.
Well, he is up to 13th, and just before his last stop in the garage, he said the right rear wants to step out, but the change was good. We're rolling the bottom well, so they made a track bar adjustment, put some sticker tires on. Kurt Busch happy with the car, and it's funny, Alan, you guys were talking about the Jimmy Johnson-Kurt Busch altercation, I guess we could call it, from Pocono. This is the same car he ran at Pocono.
Well, I think he's probably going to prefer that it not end up with fenders wrinkled up at the end. But if he gets a good finish out of it,
that's right. That's the main thing. Yeah, he needs a good solid top 5.
All right, well, we seem to have Kurt and Jimmy Johnson tied together here, so let's hop from Kurt over to Jimmy and check out the latest on the 48 car from Vince.
Certainly have been documenting the progress and the changes of Jimmy Johnson on this run. It's a long run on sticker tires. Here's his feedback.
Did that do anything?
I felt that still late exit. I didn't have the help where I needed it. I didn't feel like the entry or the first part of the turn was much different than the run previously. I just get to a point where I'm stuck at 3/8 throttle and no more turn laps in front of the car near that second apex, getting into that second compression zone.
Only about 10 minutes left in practice. Still working on it, Chad Knaus and company.
All right, Vince, thanks. So tracking Jimmy Johnson across this final practice. Tracking somebody else who has had a good run going here at Dover in May. Then they broke the rear track bar mount on this 78 car. Regan Smith thought he was in line for a top 10 finish on that day.
Yeah, that's what we talked about at the start of the show, is just how hard this track is on the car and the driver, because there is so many forces that are working on it, with the vertical loads of the banking and then the lateral loads from the grip that you get from the banking. Puts a lot of stress on the suspension parts.
Smith with a top 10 finish at New Hampshire last week. Got a 10th place result out of that for the Southern 500 winner. Talked to Regan. He's moved out to Colorado, where this race team is based, spending more time at the shop with them and really enjoying the change of scenery and waking up in the mountains there and the whole thing.
Yeah, there's some race teams in Denver, North Carolina.
Yeah.
and then Denver, Colorado, I'd say the scenery's quite different.
Yes.
And that's making it fifth. That shows your team you're totally committed to them for sure. Making a big move and change like that. And this is a very talented driver. And we see the team improving, and I think Regan continues to improve too.
I've actually been out to Colorado to their race shop, so it's really a pretty area.
So all these cars down here waiting to make a practice qualifying run, we assume, and most of them, except Jeff Gordon, cars that have to focus on making the race on time for tomorrow's qualifying.
And Jeff Gordon probably thinks that this qualifying is going to be pretty important track position wise, so he wants to make sure that they've got what they need.
As close to the conditions the track will be in for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think they got really happy with their race car in race setup. Just a few minor adjustments there late. Looks like they're ready to go as far as Sunday.
And while they wait for some clear track, other guys still working on their race runs are just going by them and keeping going. Now, if you're Gordon or some of these other guys that are sitting there, that's Reed Sorensen in that 7 car, by the way. Does it make you mad when you're waiting for that spot and these guys go by and head out onto the track?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know that you put yourself in this position now, and there's nothing you can really do. You don't want to get yourself out there behind someone in race runs, because you're going to catch them so much faster, and it's going to be kind of a waste of time then.
Brad Keselowski, Vince, what's the latest here?
Well, I'll tell you what, these guys have really liked their car here in this practice. Then they started working on some things and got away from it a little bit, but I think this radio sums up best how Brad Keselowski's session has gone.
I mean, night and day, dude. Night and day. Went from hold 9 to actually driving again.
Like I said, since that radio, they've tried some things, got away from the really good car, and have gone back to it a bit. But there's no doubt about it, Brad Keselowski has had a good start to the chase. The only driver with consecutive top 5s other than Tony Stewart.
And Vince, the changes to the car helping, and
yeah, he's run 6 races at 6 tracks twice this year. The first time, we talked about how much better they've been the second time.
Yep.
His average finish in the first visit to those tracks is 27.6. His average finish the second visit, 5.67. So they have been way better the second time around.
That's a little better.
Way better.
I was starting to say, I can't believe how much the conditions have changed just during this final practice as well. It's completely overcast right now. And what kind of a curveball that may throw at some of these teams. I know it's closer to what they're going to race in on Sunday, but
I kind of like it. As a crew chief, you've had this big change in the weather during this practice, and now you know how your car acted as you went through that change, and that gives you some information probably Sunday,
yep,
of what they can expect and what to predict.
Now Kenseth's car getting worked on. Clint Boyer in a conversation. Climbing out of his machine. That's not a happy-looking driver.
He hasn't run a lot of laps. He must not be happy with that thing.
Had Darian Grubb on NASCAR Now Monday after his New Hampshire win. And they were concerned about Dover. And that concern bearing out in this practice so far today for Tony Stewart. Run 55 laps. He's 40th overall as Tony Stewart as far as a fast lap is concerned. And they're still turning wrenches on that 14. When we saw Jeff Gordon sitting down the end of pit road there.
Finally found an opening.
And he's got a pretty good car in qualifying trim.
Got a little speed there. Second quick so far.
23:37 for Jeff Gordon. Fastest lap that we've seen is a 23:21 for Mark Martin in this practice. Time to go one more time for Tony Stewart.
Time running out, but they're not going to quit. They're going to keep making changes till the clock runs out.
And Dale, put me inside that helmet. You've been working on this car now. You had a practice earlier today. Now you've been out here for almost 90 minutes in this practice, and every time you hear that little bits of radio that we're playing from Tony Stewart, it's that, well, didn't do, or not doing, or it's...
Yeah, it's not a good situation because they know here, and the chances of them hitting on something here in the last few minutes of this are pretty slim. They're going to have to rely on some of their Hendrick teammates, for lack of a better term, because they're all kind of tied there together. But it's not like he and Ryan Newman can sit down and say, okay, we can figure this out, and the crew chief's there. There's going to be a lot of talking going on tonight and tomorrow as they try to get ready for the race, but it's very unsettling. Vince?
And they've thrown some pretty big changes at this. Darian Grubb started out making smaller adjustments earlier in the practice, and about 2/3 of the way through, he said, okay, let's take a big swing at it. But unfortunately, nothing really has helped.
Wasn't really much difference balance-wise, to be honest. The entry's still okay there. The exit's okay. Just still fighting to rotate the center.
The middle of the turn has been the Achilles heel for this team throughout the course of the day, and they just haven't been able, no matter what they have done to the car, they've changed the entry, they've changed the exit, but they haven't been able to get it better in the center.
With Tony winning, thanks Vince, the first two races in the chase, we talked about the sequence of things from Michigan where he got out of the car and said, we don't deserve a place in the chase. And then they went to Bristol, and they were awful at Bristol. And what does Bristol have in common with Dover? Concrete surfaced racetracks. Tony was so terrible here in May. They struggled at Bristol. Is it that much different?
It's totally different. Andy, you can speak from the crew chief side some, but from the driver's standpoint, it is a totally different feel that you look for and have to find in the race car. And some drivers just, we've seen Tony run well here, so we know he can get it done. But this new car, I don't know that he's done that well with it here. And so he's really struggled on this concrete. But from a crew chief, is it a lot of difference?
Well, the thing is about these concrete tracks is, yes, it's way different on the surface and the way the shock package works and the way the suspension all works. And the high banks, you've got a lot of loads in the car like we talked about earlier. So these tracks are unique, even though this one is twice the size of Bristol. They're similar to each other in the way that you have to go about setting the car up.
So still searching is Tony Stewart and his Stewart-Haas teammate, Ryan Newman, out there as well.
Yeah, I was going to leave that alone anymore.
Don't try this at home. We're trained professionals.
That's right. Yes.
What you'd like to do as a crew chief is methodically work through your car and try to, make one change at a time and get it better and better. But the problem with this is you don't have a lot of time. And that's why we've heard some of these crew chiefs saying they're making big changes, wholesale changes, to try to turn this thing around.
A couple of minutes ago, this relative track position between Newman and Montoya was reversed. Montoya was behind Newman, and it got a little tight there as he was trying to find a way around him.
These two have a little bit of history together. Yes, not getting along on the track.
Yes, they do. And there's a look at Bobby Labonte in the 47 as well, as we continue to wind out the final seconds of this final practice. So what have we learned? We think Jimmy Johnson's in pretty decent shape. We think Kyle Busch is in pretty decent shape. We see Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman got some work to do. And we think Jeff Gordon's probably pretty sporty.
Yeah, I'd throw Carl Edwards in there being pretty good too, I believe.
Matt Kenseth, we put him on the undecided, or?
I think Matt's going to be good just from history.
That's right.
And the earlier practice today, he was fast, so I think he's going to be fine too.
Yeah, don't count Kevin Harvick out of this thing yet either. He's talked about how they've run better than their finishes have shown here. This may show up to be one of those times they run good and get the finish too.
So red and black flags out, and the practice session is over. And all of the practice laps for the weekend are over.
Well, when all else fails.
Yeah.
Hope they have some good luck.
Put that one in the toolbox.
Yeah.
Did they get that from Jimmy Johnson? Didn't get
No, that one was, the Jimmy one was golden.
Oh, golden?
Yeah,
okay. They just tried to duplicate one, just didn't want to be exactly like
Trying to
them.
make their own luck, I think.
Yes.
So push them back. Driver and crew chief sit down and go through all those changes they made. Try and do the old debrief. What it did to the car, how it felt. And then, as Dick Trickle used to say, get out the guesserometer. Figure out what to do with it for qualifying and what to do with it for Sunday's 400-mile race here at Dover. Overall, fastest speeds in the practice, couple of Hendrick Motorsports cars, 1 and 2.
See a couple cars making qualifying runs, you see there. And also, David Strimmy making a qualifying run. And Michael McDowell all in the top 10.
And I want to call sneaky fast, 9th and 10th there. Menard and Allmendinger. There'll be a couple of guys to watch on Sunday. Jimmy Johnson showing up 12th on this particular rundown. He's out of his car, and with Vince Welch.
Started in the sunshine, finished in a cool, cloudy condition. A lot of changes to your car as well, Jimmy. What do you feel like you've got here after this practice?
We're getting there. The track has so much more rubber on it now than what we usually see in practice. So this is actually a really useful practice session to work through some things. As we know, this track here the last couple years has rubbered up a lot, and it's there. It's amazing how much is down. It started with the K&N cars, and then all the other traffic that is taking place over the day has put more down. So we're learning. We're a little bit better in qualifying trim than we are in race right now, but we'll get there.
Thanks, Jimmy. You finished 12th on the speed chart, guys.
Vince, thank you. And right next door, Tony Stewart's car being attended to by his team. Our Sprint Cup Series coverage continues with NASCAR Now coming up next here on ESPN2. Then tomorrow, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at 3 Eastern on ESPN2, the 200-mile race here at Dover. NHRA Auto Plus Nationals from Maple Grove. The qualifying late night Saturday, the finals on Sunday, both on ESPN2. Race 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. ESPN from here in Dover, Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. And the American Le Mans Series, Petite Le Mans, Sunday ABC at 4 Eastern Time. We still have plenty more going on from here at the Monster Mile in Dover. Final practice is over. We'll talk to some more of the drivers, plus NASCAR Now still on the way as our Fast Friday continues on ESPN2.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Happy Hour is brought to you by AutoZone. Parts are just part of what we do. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Your car is everything. And for over 30 years, AutoZone has had the parts you can count on and the trusted advice to help you keep it going, whether you're Mr. DIY or a master mechanic. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
If you're looking at a home security system, or even if you already have one, ADT can give you so much more. Now you can easily arm and disarm your system right from your cell phone, even turn on your lights. You can also count on fast alarm response from our advanced network of monitoring centers, plus great local service, ADT's theft protection guarantee, and a money-back guarantee if you're not completely satisfied. And you can get all this and more for just over $1 a day. A single ADT system can help protect you from burglary, fire, and high levels of carbon monoxide. When an alarm is received, ADT responds quickly, calling local authorities for help. You can even add new technology, like ADT Pulse Interactive Solutions. Now you can know what's happening in your home by actually seeing it on your cell phone or computer. Even if you already have a security system, it's easy to add ADT monitoring. Get ADT's Quick Connect Plus system installed for $99.
It's peace of mind that can also save your life.
ADT, always there.
Undefeated ACC heavyweights meet for a pivotal showdown, and the Irish battle the Boilermakers. Saturday, Clemson, Virginia Tech at 6 on ESPN2, and Notre Dame, Purdue at 8 on ESPN. College football lives here.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Dover International Speedway has been a staple on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule since 1969, and today the world's best drivers are gearing up to go 400 monstrous miles on this treacherous 1-mile racetrack.
All right, fellas, let's go have some fun today. Remember, be ready for anything, guys. Let's have a good one, guys. You guys are awesome last week. Keep it up. You guys done a nice job bringing good race cars to the track here, brand new cars. So we'll take care of it today and go have some fun. No reason we can't win this thing.
Here they are, rolling out of turn number 4, looking for the green flag. It's in the air, and we are underway in the FedEx 400.
The rubber laying down the racetrack is making it patchy loose.
The track's starting to get that little slick wiggly thing getting into the corner. I got my hands full. As soon as I go just a tiny bit too hard, the right rear skips and bounces. I get real loose. Fine myself.
Tough deal.
Is there a little contact there?
For low loose off, bud. Low loose off. You're doing well here. Nice and smooth. Trouble up in turn number 2. Casey Kane has almost coasted to a halt.
He's already gone past. We're stopped at turn 2. Say, it just quit running. The battery dead. Battery was not dead. It still isn't dead. It just shut off. It smells weird though. It smells like it blew up. Is AJ blowing up there?
AJ Allmendinger, who started on the front row, has dropped a cylinder.
Unbelievable. This thing's barely running right now.
Oh, trouble, turn 4. Montoya's right in front of the leaders, too. This could be the most important pit stop for these drivers today, because this could be the final stop. 2 tires or 4? What do you think?
Okay, 4 tires and fuel. Roger, but if the leader's pit, I say we stay out. We come in and take 4 for sure, right? All right, we'll go for the win here. Let's come on in. Come on in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And Cliff Boyer does want 4. 2 for Rick Mason.
Gonna get 4 tires and a wedge adjustment for the 99.
Go, straight, 31 outside.
Matt Kenseth will get off pit road first with those 2 tires. Mark Martin did not pit.
Be ready. Ready, rolling, green. Don't let the 17 get on the outside of you there.
There goes Matt. Matt Kenseth just goes by Martin. I think that 2-tire call was perfect.
Matt Kenseth wins it.
Yes! Woo! Yeah! Good job, Jimmy. Thank you, boys. Woo! Burn it down. Let's have some fun, fellas.
Well, that's how this year's first race for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series played out at Dover's Monster Mile. Little strategy mixed in at the end to mix it up. How will Sunday's chase race number 3 play out? Somehow I'm kind of willing to bet we'll see that strategy thing come into play again. The 12 drivers competing for the championship. Here is where they ranked overall as far as fast laps are concerned in this final practice session. Ryan Newman pretty far down the list. At least his car number matched his position on the sheet, Jamie, but that's probably not what he had in mind. 39th, huh?
That's what I was thinking. 39 for the 39 car. You said you guys had 2 weaknesses during this practice. What were they?
What did I say?
Let me get my notes out.
No,
you said it won't turn through the middle.
It's a little bumpy getting into 3, and we need to rotate the center just a little bit better. That's what I thought our weaknesses were. We're getting in pretty good. We're getting off pretty good. So we've got 2/3 of it. We just need to tie in that last third. We made some big gains. Timing and scoring doesn't show it, but we haven't been able to clip off a quick lap, which kind of worries me about qualifying and getting a good pit selection. But I think our U.S. Army ROTC Chevy is going to be a decent long-run car. We just got to do a little bit more work tonight.
Obviously, the last couple of weeks, your teammate and team owner winning the 2 races. Now all eyes are on you guys. You're at the bottom of the chart. A lot of people asking why these 2 cars you guys are running down there.
We're taking one for the team.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. We just had really bad luck at Chicago running out of fuel, and then we lost the right front tire there with about 5 to go at Loudon running 9th. We would have been like 5th in points, doing my math, instead of 11th. So we've got the speed, we've got the team, we've got the car. We just didn't have the 2 days that we needed to. Just need to have better Sundays.
All right, he's taking one for the team, and he has that silver horseshoe. He says that's all they can afford. Vince?
Standing by with Kevin Harvick, 2nd in points here after 2 races in the chase, and seem pretty happy with your car. What's important? Where is it important to be good here at Dover?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are important. I think you have to make your car turn in the middle of the corner, but the most important thing is being able to get up off the corner and keep the throttle down as you get through the runs and not get loose up off. So our Rheem Chevrolet is driving really good in race trim. We're kind of on the fence about the qualifying trim stuff. We were mediocre there, but in race trim I feel really good about it.
As the conditions changed and more rubber was laid down on the track, what do you learn from that?
Well, I'm really glad that the cloud cover came over, to be honest with you, because the track temp went down, the ambient temperature went down. We got a little better reading on where we needed to be on our front tape for tomorrow or Sunday because it is going to be so much cooler. So the conditions definitely changed the way that the car drove and I think gave us a little better reading of what we need for Sunday.
Kevin Harvick, so far so good in the chase. Thanks, Brian.
Vince, thank you. And as we look back now on this final practice session for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and look ahead to Sunday's 400-mile race, we started off today talking about Jimmy Johnson and how this Jimmy said he needed a top 3 run here. What did you see from Jimmy and his team in this final practice to set up that top 3 run?
Yeah, I saw a lot of hard work going on and making some fine adjustments, I believe. I don't think that they're too far off. We've seen them be extremely strong here every time that they come here. I think that we're going to see them battle for the win here on Sunday right now.
Yeah, I saw him kind of on both sides of the fence. I saw the car out of shape a few times. Saw him changing his line a little bit, making a lot of those changes. But the one thing I saw at the very end of practice, we talked to him, and he seemed confident that they were going to be good and they were going to fix it. And with his history at this track, I do believe he's going to be a factor and going to be up front all day.
As far as other guys who caught your attention in this final practice, we paid a lot of attention, obviously, to Tony Stewart, winning the first 2 races in the chase, struggling so badly here back in May, did not seem to have a very good practice session so far. We just heard from Ryan Newman. What did you see from this 14 team, and that leads you to think what for Sunday?
Well, the 14 did struggle some. I don't think that their lap times on that board really say everything because this race trim is different. I mean, you're trying to get that car to stay good over the long run, and I think that they have a car that'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be okay on Sunday, and if they can just do that and maintain just a little bit of momentum that they've built up.
Yeah, I think that it's minimize the damage here on Sunday as far as getting through this. They still don't have the car that they've been looking for. If they can come out of here with a top 15, I'd say right now, Tony Stewart tell you, let's take that and move on to Kansas.
All right, now as you look at how things unfolded in today's practice sessions, both of them, give me one guy that grabbed your attention today. I know who yours is. He's at the top of the speed chart.
Mark Martin, I think, can kind of mix things up here for the chase guys, but he's so solid at this racetrack every time that he comes, so I really want to see what Mark's able to do here in these 400 miles, but I think he's going to have to outrun Kyle Busch to get it done on Sunday.
How'd you know that's who I was going to talk about? Kyle Busch is one I think is going to be the best. They had a really good, solid practice session, went through a lot of things, and he was very calm on the radio and how he steered his team through that. I think they're going to be a factor. I think they're going to be up front all day long. And, it's all these cars are so close together. Lap times, we looked at all these race lap times. It's going to be a struggle, really. I mean, there's going to be a lot of cars running the same speed.
First practice session, I haven't done the numbers on this practice. First practice session, 1st through 10th, 7/100ths of a second. They were separated by qualifying in the race. Can be really competitive tomorrow and Sunday. Jamie and Vince have covered things down in the garage for us throughout this practice. Jamie, got a final thought?
Well, Alan, after last week, Kurt Busch is one of many chasers who needs a good turnaround. Remember, he failed pre-race inspection last week, and their day didn't get any better. They dropped 5 spots in the points tonight. Now, today, it's been good for he and Steve Addington. They made the right adjustments, and we heard a happy Kurt Busch on the radio. He was 14th at the end. Vince Welch.
The fastest car rarely wins. In fact, Tony Stewart, I'm sure, would tell you he wasn't the fastest car the first 2 races and ended up winning. Maybe that's good since Stewart was 41st on the chart. But what I saw from Tony was the disappointment in his face after practice. And frankly, Alan, that said it all for me.
All right, Vince, thanks. So tomorrow, the NASCAR Nationwide Series from here in Dover, 3 Eastern on ESPN2. And Sunday, race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, ESPN at 1 Eastern. Right now, though, off to our NASCAR Now studios and more coverage with Shannon Spake.
Alan, thank you very much. That is a beautiful shot of Dover as practice just getting wrapped up. We're here for the next half hour. We're going to break everything down and take a look at the storylines we're following for this weekend. All eyes, of course, are on Tony Stewart this weekend as he looks to make it 3 in a row. Can an incredible start be enough to tame the monster? We'll hear.
I don't think we're looking for the walk-off home run by any means right now.
Now, Jimmy Johnson doesn't consider this weekend a must-win, but what are the other drivers saying about his chances to win a 6th championship? We'll tell you. Meanwhile, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. continues to move forward towards his first series championship. Hear what he has to say about the next 6 races.
NASCAR Now is presented by Wrangler.
I feel bad for Jimmy. Every year he comes into this deal as the previous winner and he doesn't get labeled the first favorite.
This is what I've been waiting for all year. Save us gas, bud. We got 10 laps to go.
Come running out.
It's safe to say that it's not going to last forever. It's just going to end at some point.
Beautiful day for a race. Be prepared for everything.
Dude, your cheerleading's terrible. I'm going to drive my ass off. Don't sweat it. Just watch. Prove it, baby. Come on. Actually annoying instead of helping.
Oh, no.
That's it. Johnson continuing to slide back.
Whoever wins the championship this year has to win the next 5. I think he's going to be tough for a long time to come.
Well, after finishing 10th and 18th in the first 2 chase races, Jimmy Johnson finds himself 10th in points, 29 out of first. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Spake. Welcome to NASCAR Now. Despite the points deficit and being in a 20-race winless streak, the longest of his career, not everyone is convinced the dynasty is over. On that note, let's welcome in Marty Smith, live at Dover. Marty, what is Jimmy saying about his title chances heading into this weekend?
That he plans to lean on his championship experience, Shannon, to get him through this tough period. But look, that outburst on the radio last weekend at Loudon, where he basically told crew chief Chad Knaus to zip it, was uncharacteristic at best, and he was asked about it today. Many people felt it was evidence of a schism between those two, and Johnson said today it's nothing more than standard operating procedure in a 10-year marriage.
When you work with someone for as long as we have, for over 10 years now, there are hot spots and buttons that can be pushed that send someone over the edge. And we know what took place last weekend, and he knows that at times I can be frustrated with his cheerleading. It's nothing new to us. I know a lot of people are reacting to it and think that it's something abnormal. Yes, it wasn't our finest moment on Sunday, but it's what we deal with. It's been part of what we've been dealing with for 10 years.
Johnson is 10th in the standings, the lowest rank for him at any point of any chase of his career. In 2006, he ranked 8th of 10 drivers after 2 races, but ultimately won the title.
I don't think we're in a position where it's win or nothing, but we need a good top 3 run here. I don't think we're looking for the walk-off home run by any means right now. It's just finishing where we should. Yeah, experience is extremely helpful and important, and we'll need to pull on seasons maybe like 2006. Where we got off to a slow start and were able to rally back and end up on top.
Johnson owns Dover, Shannon. He's a 6-time winner here at the Monster Mile, including the past 2 chase races at this racetrack. Those 6 wins, the most of any active driver, and in fact, the only 2 drivers in NASCAR history with more wins here are legends Bobby Allison and Richard Petty. Shannon?
Okay, so Marty, we heard what Jimmy had to say about his championship hopes. What are the other competitors are saying about the 48 team situation?
They're basically laughing at us for even bringing up the fact that the 48 could be having a problem. Matt Kenseth said today, look, I've been saying for the past 6 or 7 years that they're the team to beat, and that won't change until somebody beats them. Jeff Gordon was asked about it as well, and he said, look, this team does miraculous things. That's become the way that they do it, and he said, don't ever count the 48 team out. So basically everyone's sort of laughing that in 2 races into a chase, we're wondering whether the 48's done.
Marty, thanks so much. We'll see you Sunday morning. Amazingly, Johnson's 20-race winless streak is the longest of his Sprint Cup Series career. However, Dover could be the perfect place to snap that streak. 2 of his 5 previous longest winless streaks were ended at the Monster Mile. Now for more on Jimmy Johnson, we throw it back out to Dover and Alan Bestwick.
Shannon, thanks. As the teams wrap up this final practice session for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, they begin to look ahead to tomorrow's qualifying and Sunday's third race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Teams including Jimmie Johnson as he pursues that 6th straight championship. And yes, the radio outburst that was captured in last Sunday's telecast and the fact that Jimmie Johnson is as far down the rankings as he is in 10th position after 2 races has gotten a lot of people's attention, and it has sort of made this a big question. Dale, Andy, where do you see the 48 team stacking up right now?
Well, I think they have some work to do, and I think this weekend is going to tell us a lot about that race team. All of the things that Marty Smith was talking about right there, the wins that they have, how competitive they've always been here, are the things that I need to see out of this race team to say, yeah, they're still the team to beat. Can they get it done? Absolutely. The radio chatter last week, not concerned about that. We've heard them talk like that whenever they were in the middle of winning championships. This is an important weekend, though. We haven't seen the speed and the ability to lead laps and go win races from this team. And if they can't get it done here, they're going to have trouble getting it done anywhere else.
They have shown that ability to win races and lead a ton of laps at this track. And I expect them to do that. I think that they're going to do that on Sunday, and they're going to make somewhat of a comeback. I still think it's going to be an uphill battle for them. But if they don't do that, I think it's going to be a real telltale sign of what's to come for that team. I think that this is one of those tracks, if they don't succeed on, that they're going to have a lot of trouble down the road.
Now, the number that's gotten everybody's attention is where Johnson ranks overall in the championship. But when you stop and you look and compare the previous system used to determine championships versus the 1 point per position used this year and where Jimmie is now, he's really been able to kind of a deficit in the past in the remaining races. So is he too far out? No, not at all numerically, and the numbers certainly show that. Now, as far as this Sunday, one of the things Johnson said in his press conference this morning was, we need to race top 3 here this weekend. Agree or disagree, and why?
Oh, absolutely agree. That top 3 finish is what they have to come out of here. I think that Jimmie and his team are actually shooting higher than that. I think they're looking at a win. Coming out of here puts them right back on track.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they looked at this as an opportunity weekend to get themselves right back in a very manageable position with those points. If they don't do that, then I think they may start pressing, and something we haven't really seen out of them. Important for them to achieve their goal, which is a top 3, just as Jimmie said.
Jimmie says pressure, it's professional sports. There's pressure every week. It gets multiplied greatly when you get into the championship, but we've been there before. Important weekend, though, for the 48 team here at a track where they've had a lot of past success, Shannon, and we'll be very interested to see how Jimmie Johnson and company make out on Sunday.
Thanks, AB. While we're talking about Jimmie, let's see how his practice session went this afternoon out at Dover. He's a 6-time winner at the racetrack. He did get a little bit loose coming off turn 4. He ended up 12th on the day. His other Hendrick Motorsports teammate, Jeff Gordon, who's a 3-time winner at Dover, he was 154 miles, second fastest in the final practice. Tony Stewart looking to make it 3 wins. He was 151 miles per hour. He's looking for a little bit of speed as he ended 41st on the day. His teammate Ryan Newman is also struggling a little bit in the speed department as he was 39 fastest in the final practice. Mark Martin, Hendrick Motorsports. He was fastest in final practice. That number 5 car making it look easy out there at Dover. Now here's how some of the other guys looked. Paul Menard finished 7th last year at Dover, driving for Richard Petty, and he had the fastest car in today's 2 practice sessions combined. 6 spots behind him are occupied by all chasers, led by Matt Kenseth, who has 6 top 5s in the last 7 Dover races. Points leader Tony Stewart was 25th fastest out of 44 cars combined both practices. Now still to come on NASCAR now, Kevin Harvick said the key to the chase is making the best out of whatever the weekend gives you. He's looking for his first Dover win, and we'll hear from him next. Plus, 10 races ago, Brad Keselowski was 23rd in points. Now he seems poised to make a championship run. We'll hear from Brad coming up. And Jeff Gordon finished 4th last week, despite problems on pit road. Hear what the 3-time Dover winner has to say about this weekend.
NASCAR Now is presented by Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. And Kingsford Charcoal, slow down and grill.
Yep, here we are, standing around the grill.
Are we standing or are we huddling?
Huh?
You know how football players huddle before every play? And what are they talking about in that huddle?
football. What are we talking about in this huddle? Football. It's like football exists to make us grill. This is no coincidence.
We're not huddling.
Oh, we're huddling.
Yeah, huddling. Don't.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at pennzoil.com.
We got ADT because I walked in on a burglary once. The physical damage was pretty bad. The emotional toll was even worse. Our daughter had nightmares. What that robber really took from us was our peace of mind. With ADT, we got it back.
Every 14.3 seconds, a burglary takes place in the United States, so rely on the fast alarm response of ADT. A single ADT system can help protect you from burglary, fire, and high levels of carbon monoxide. When an alarm is received, ADT calls the local authorities for help, and you can get this monitored protection plus great local service, all for just over $1 a day. And only ADT offers a theft protection guarantee.
Take it from me, the time to think about a security system isn't after something bad happens. It's before.
Call now and get one of our best values, ADT's Quick Connect Plus system, installed for $99. Hurry and take advantage of these savings. ADT, always there.
The Huskers make their Big Ten debut on the road against the reigning conference champs. Saturday Night Football. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Saturday at 8 on ABC. College football lives here.
That golden horseshoe floating around the garage? Well, I think Tony Stewart may have found it. He's kicked off the chase with back-to-back wins. He's not looking at the other 11 drivers, though. He says his #1 focus is his team's performance.
I'm not even looking at any of the 11 guys. I'm worrying about what we're doing with our car, honestly, and not worrying about where everybody else is at. We got to go out and do our job. It doesn't matter. If we don't do our job, it doesn't matter where they're at or who it is. It's irrelevant if we don't go do what we need to do. We just haven't been very good here the last couple of races, so we definitely need to pick our performance this week.
Moving along, after kicking off the chase with a second-place finish, Kevin Harvick finished 12th last week at Loudon. He's second in the points and looking to earn his first win at the Monster Mile.
You don't do anything any different than you would any other week. Just another racetrack that's you try to do the same things you do every week. Anybody who tells you they're not paying attention to the points is lying. You go out and you try to gain the maximum points every week, and you want to know who's around you to know what you need to do, as far as the points go. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing and concentrate on the little things and go from there.
Brad Keselowski finished second last week at New Hampshire, moving him to third in the points and continuing that Cinderella story of the season. He finished 35th at Loudon in July, but hasn't finished worse than 12th since.
Certainly there was some good fortune for us last week to finish second, but I think in reality we were probably a 4th or 5th place car. So if you can run 4th or 5th, you're going to catch some breaks, maybe win a race, and you're definitely going to get those top 2 or 3 finishes. So we're in a good position in the points. We're at a track here at Dover where I feel like we can come here and win.
Carl Edwards was able to escape Loudon with an 8th place finish. Hard to believe he hasn't won a race since Las Vegas. He's 4th in points, a former Dover winner who says this is a great track for his team.
Practices have gone great. I really love racing here. It's a fun racetrack. We were just watching the replays of of Matt's win in the Cup Series earlier this year. We felt like we had a car that could win that race, and practice is going really well today. I feel like we picked up right where we left off. We've got one of, if not the fastest car, so that's good. And nationwide practice went really well. It looks like Brad is really fast, and we're fast too. So we should have a good race there. That should be a lot of fun. Ricky's really fast as well. So it's I think that's going to be a great race. I hope that the weather holds off for tomorrow.
Jeff Gordon Gordon rebounded from his 24th place finish at Chicago by finishing 4th Sunday at Loudon. He's 5th in the points, 23 out of first, and the three-time Dover winner says this track could play a factor in his drive for 5.
To have that good run in New Hampshire, allows us to focus on what we need to do here, and I feel really good. This is a track that is on our radar of not so good tracks. If we can come out of here with a good finish, I think it speaks volumes about our contention chances.
And here's a look at how the Hendrick drivers stack up. Rick Hendrick has 12 Dover wins, the last one coming in 2010. That's the most wins by any team in the 43 years that NASCAR's been going to Dover. Second behind Hendrick is Roush Fenway Racing, which won at Dover earlier this season with Matt Kenseth. Now up next, besides that win, Matt Kenseth has the best average finish of all drivers over the last 4 seasons at Dover, but knows anything can happen. We'll hear from Kenseth next. And the Cup drivers aren't the only ones battling for a championship, as just 14 points separate the top 2 contenders in the Nationwide Series. We'll hear from Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Action, excitement, competition. Score.com is a style of auction where you pay a small fee for each bid. When the bidding stops, the item sells, even if the price is a penny. Winners can save up to 99% off retail price. After you sign up, enter ESPN and you'll receive $10 in free bids. Scored features gift cards, gold bars, sports collectibles, and consumer electronics. And Scored is an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau. Go to Score It now and get $10 in free bids. Scoreit.com. You bid, you score.
We are not doing it.
You've done racy GoDaddy commercials before.
Yeah, but this is over the top. Thank you. We're here to promote GoDaddy, not be a part of some crazy stunt.
Well, we're contractually obligated.
Jeez. GoDaddy girls coming to set. And everybody's staring.
See more now at GoDaddy.com.
Georgia pulled ahead going into the 4th quarter.
Oh, Michigan just scored another touchdown.
Yes! Looks like today's Groupon is for that freestyle jazz tap class.
The one at Rita's School of Jazz and Dance?
Yeah, that's the one.
Never miss a moment with ESPN and AT&T. College football final presented by AT&T, Saturdays on ESPN.
What makes us #1 in motorcycle insurance? We love bikes. We love riders. And most of all, we love to ride. Perfect hair every time. Leading the pack in motorcycle insurance. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Gamefly is amazing. It allows me to get access to any game I want.
Join Gamefly, choose the games you want online, get them in the mail, and send them back when you're done.
Gamefly has a huge selection of titles.
Before Gamefly, I could never play as many games as I wanted to because I couldn't afford it.
Go to Gamefly.com now. Click the joystick in the top right corner, enter World in the box, and get started with a free extended trial. And remember, you can cancel at any time. Product shown rated E through M.
There is no better deal than Gamefly, period.
Welcome back to NASCAR Now, presented by Wrangler.
Here's a look at your upcoming motorsports calendar. The Truck Series in Kentucky this weekend. You can catch that Saturday at 8 Eastern on Speed. Then later that day, the Nationwide Series in action at Dover. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern on ESPN2. Sunday, it's the 3rd chase race. NASCAR Countdown gets things started at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Mark Martin will be your in-race reporter. Now, the championship battle in the Nationwide Series is really heating up. Elliott Sadler, currently 2nd in points, was 10th in practice out at Dover this afternoon. And, of course, the guy he's chasing, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., finished 4th at Dover in May, was 7th in practice, and caught up with Mike Massaro.
The last time the Nationwide Series visited Dover, Ricky Stenhouse came home with a top 5 finish. How are you feeling about things going into this one?
feel a lot better than the time that we were here earlier in the year. I think our cars are better. I think I'm a better driver, and our race team's better. So I feel like we can improve on our fourth place finish that we had here. We've gotten better each time I've been to Dover, and it's a really fun racetrack to race.
In what ways do you feel your team is better?
I think our team is better prepared. I think they've been working really hard in the race shop, making our cars lighter, paying more attention to all the details that we've learned throughout the whole season on some of these concrete tracks and things with some of these Goodyear tires. So I feel like as a race team, we got more knowledge than what we had the last time we were here.
6 races to go. Still the championship leader. How would you assess your championship chances?
I think they're great. I think we got what it takes to get it done. These last 6 races are really good racetracks for us. We ran really well at the ones that we've got left that we've already ran at, and there's some that we ran really well at last year. So I'm really looking forward to getting these last 6 done. I wish they were all in a row, though.
Well, Ricky Stenhouse has plenty of reason to be confident coming into this weekend. As we mentioned, a top 5 finish here in the spring. He also led 33 laps.
And you can really count on this championship battle going down to the very end because there are 6 races remaining. And as you heard Ricky just mention his record on those race tracks, he hasn't finished worse than 8th. 4 of the tracks we've already raced on, while fellow title contender Elliott Sadler has just 1 top 5 and no laps led in those races. Now back to the Cup Series, 2-time Dover winner Kyle Busch has dropped from 1st to 6th in the points since the start of the chase. While he struggled at Chicago, he was able to finish 11th Sunday at Loudon.
Probably had an 8th place car. A fuel strategy and everything didn't change throughout the race, but we ended up 11th. And if anybody would have guaranteed me a 10th place finish at Loudon before the chase started, I would have just taken it and gone away. So we lost 1 point to that 10th place finish. So it is what it is, and certainly. We know there's a little bit of work to be done, but a couple cool tracks coming up for us that we feel like we can run well at, and we just want to try to capitalize on those and work to our potential to get the most points we can.
Next up is Matt Kenseth, who's 7th in the points, 26th out of 1st. Kenseth was able to finish 6th in Loudon even after early contact with his teammate. He's the defending Dover winner and knows there's plenty of time left in this chase.
There's 8 races to go. I mean, that's a ton of races. I mean, the only way you know whether you can come out of that hole or not, it depends how you do, but it depends how everybody else does as well. So I mean, even if you win every race and the guy who's leading finishes second every race, you can't come out of it. So I mean, I think it depends how everybody else does. It depends how you do, obviously. And 8 races is a lot of races. I mean, I know we have to talk about it every week, but it's a lot of races. I mean, I suspect after this weekend you'll probably be able to pick a few people out that might be out. But until you're mathematically out, I mean, I think you just, I still think you're basically in it.
Dale Jr.'s 8th in points, and despite a 17th place finish in Loudon, he was very happy with the car, saying it had a lot of speed. A really good sign moving forward because Jr. says there's plenty of time to make up ground.
I think that, it's still a lot of racing left to do, and guys are definitely in some good positions, but there's a lot. Every team's good, and just as quickly as we got 20-some points behind, those guys in front of us could do the same thing. We all feel like we still got a shot. Nobody's really gave up yet.
Kurt Busch, 28th out of 1st, 9th in the points. Sunday was a tough day for the team, who initially failed pre-race inspection. They did make the necessary changes, finished 22nd. Now, Kurt says this weekend, things are looking good.
Car feels pretty good. The tire is a little bit more staggered this time, so it's making everybody a little bit on the loose side, which is always good here at Dover. Dover's notoriously tough on right front tires, and you have the chance of being on the tight side a lot. We're 2 thumbs up. We're right in the mix. It's a long 10 weeks, and so you just have to stay upbeat about it no matter where you finish each week. It's great to put 2 Dodges in the chase. We get a lot of pride and self-satisfaction in getting 2 cars into the chase for Dodge.
And here's a look at how those 2 Penske cars stack up. While Kurt led the points early in the season, Brad Keselowski struggled in those early months. Now, after his 22nd place finish at New Hampshire, Busch has fallen to a season worst 9th in the standings. Keselowski, on the other hand, is now 3rd, the highest of his Sprint Cup career. Now, still to come on NASCAR Now, it seems as if everything has gone wrong for the 11 team as Denny Hamlin finds himself in a 66-point deficit. We'll hear from Denny next.
What to Count On is brought to you by Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
AT&T and Verizon charge you extra for going over 2 gigabytes of data. T-Mobile slows down your data speed. With Sprint, you don't get charged extra and you don't slow down. And you get unlimited data, text, and calling to any mobile for only $79.99. The best unlimited plan wins. Make the most of unlimited data with a brilliant screen on a pencil-thin phone. Introducing the Samsung Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch.
So you've always wanted to learn a new language, and now you can with Rosetta Stone. Now enriched with new tools to make learning a language even easier. Introducing Rosetta Stone Totale. And you can try Rosetta Stone absolutely free. Just call now for your free CD demo. Rosetta Stone makes it fast and fun to learn a new language correctly and confidently.
现在我会说国语啊. Now I speak Mandarin.
Thanks to Rosetta Stone, I can now speak Japanese with my parents.
Rosetta Stone has helped millions of people learn a new language. And new Rosetta Stone Totale gives you online access to sessions with native speakers, games you can play online, even a mobile app that lets you practice anywhere. Call for your free demo CD now or visit rosettastone.com and get started learning a new language free.
Call 1-800-282-0093 for your free Rosetta Stone demo CD with no obligation. That's 1-800-282-0093. 1-800-282-0093. Call now.
Monday, Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis will look to bring the heat as Josh Freeman and the Rising Bucks fight for the division lead. ESPN Monday Night Football, Colts Buccaneers at 8:30.
Tony Stewart is white hot, winning the first 2 chase races and grabbing the points lead. With smoke on fire, Jimmy Johnson looks to bounce back from a shaky start. The chase continues at Dover, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
NASCAR Now is presented by Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Another chaser who struggled at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway was Ryan Newman. After starting on the pole, he had tire issues and finished the day 25th. He now finds himself 11th in the points, and he spoke earlier today at Dover.
Well, I wish we could be more positive about our event and weekend at New Hampshire. Yeah, it was good on Friday, but we had a miserable day on Sunday and ended up losing a right front tire, I think, with 4 or 5 to go, and that took us from 9th to 25th, which I think was the equivalent of basically 5th in points to 11th. So disappointed about that, but feel like we had a decent practice. We've got some work to do on the U.S. Army Chevrolet to make it a little bit happier, both in race trim and qualifying trim, and we still have the time to do that.
After a handful of top 10 finishes leading into the chase, Denny Hamlin has struggled in the last 2 races, finishing 31st and 29th. He's 66 points out of first and spoke today about his points position.
Yeah, we, definitely, we're at a position now to where we can, kind of relax and have some fun and try to win some races from here on out. That's the important #1 priority for us right now is to kind of get back on track before the year's over. Ultimately, we're going to go each week and try to win that given week, but yeah, we're going to be trying wholesale stuff more so than just fine-tuning to that racetrack in specific.
Denny Hamlin currently is last in the chase standings, 66 behind leader Tony Stewart and 32 points behind 11th place driver Ryan Newman. It is quite a swing from last year when he led the chase after 2 races on his way to a 2nd place finish in the points. Hamlin's never won at Dover and has just 2 top 5s and 11 career starts. Thanks for joining us today. As we leave you, we'll give you a shot of Dover cars in the garage. NASCAR Now will be back Sunday morning.